I have officially survived over 1,000 days in Pixelmon, so I decided to compile all of the 100-day challenge videos I've done and made them into one full movie. So while you're trying to sleep, doing your homework, or just like long videos, I hope you can enjoy this movie. What a good morning. Oh, a Discord notification. Sired. Wait a minute. The Sired?
Hello, Nintendo! I've been watching your Pixelmon skills and believe you have what it takes to spend 100 days on my Pixelmon server. Of course, I expect you to complete the set of tasks that I'll be sending your way, which should be no problem for a Pokemon master like you. Anyways, good luck, and hopefully you won't let me down.
Well, I guess I know what I'm doing for the next 100 days. I wasn't too worried since I've already done this before. I mean, how hard could it really be? As I log onto the server, I'm given several choices for starter Pokemon. I could select the original Pokemon starters or settle with the custom starters. But I, of course, decided to choose Gibble. I do spend more time exploring Spawn and figured out that in order to enter the Warzone, I will need a team full of level 100 Pokemon. You can imagine the blank stare I had when Sired himself challenged me to catch a legendary Pokemon in there. Well, we'll get to that later. I end up randomly teleporting somewhere in the wild where I catch a few Pokemon and start mining for some ores to craft better tools. I then decided, before I was going to head out into the vast world of Pixelmon, I would need to build a base where I could rest and store my valuable items in. So I spent just, a few more days collecting resources, which went into building this magnificent house. Okay, I know it looks bad, just don't judge me, please. While I was building my humble abode though, I did encounter a shiny Rookie, which I wanted to include because I thought it was pretty cool. Anyways, day 11. Now we're gonna do some real Pixelmon adventuring, such as hatching this fossil, and wow, this takes a really long time. Also, did I tell you that this video took a lot of effort to make? I mean, I literally had to play 33 hours and edit all of that down into this video that you're watching right now. Subscribing goes a long way, and I'll make even better content than, well, watching a fossil hatch. Anyways, using the 2 neurons left in my brain, I end up right-clicking the fossil machine and realized it was just visually bugged. It was done the entire... Going around Spawn a bit more, I end up in the marketplace where I browse various items and end up buying a TV for my house, hoping that this atrocity I built looks slightly more welcoming with this piece of decor. It, in fact, still looks horrible. Anyways, in order to progress and complete the set of tasks that Sired gave to us, we have to train our Pokemon to, well, level 100 eventually. But for now, all they need is evolution so that the big number gets bigger next to their stats. I took a quick glance at the tasks again and realized, damn, I could knock out this Pokemon hunt task pretty quickly. All I needed to do was catch the specific Pokemon that the game wanted me to catch, which, changes every hour. But luckily, mine were Pokemon that have a super low chance of spawning. Neat. So what I thought would be an easy task ended up taking several hours out of my day. You could picture the sheer joy though, when I finally caught the Pokemon I needed, only to be handed a pearl for my deed, as it felt more like a slap in the face than a job well done. Realizing how weak my team was, I took it upon myself to spend hours training my team, evolving the few Pokemon that still needed to evolve, and forging a strong but sadly still not eligible team to venture within the Warzone. So after a day of nothing noteworthy other than, finding 2 more shiny Pokemon, I just couldn't wait and decided to just focus hard and train my entire team to level 100. It took extreme willpower and determination, as well as sitting through the second Sonic movie, but finally, I had amassed my glorious level 100 team. But Nintendo, did it really take you this long to train your entire team to level 100? Wrong! I trained 2 full teams to level 100. If I was going to put in the time, I was going to put in the work. Also, during my training arc, I did stumble upon a Genesect, which was pretty cool. Anyways, I realized I'm broke. Man, this game is too realistic at times. So I headed towards this boss tower spawn, which spawns these boss Pokemon that, upon killing them, drop pretty good loot, which can be sold at the Pokemart for some quick money. Since I needed a lot to enter the Warzone, I racked up as much as I could, and finally on the 40th day, I was ready to enter the Warzone. The Pokemon in the Warzone were incredible. They were Pokemon you wouldn't see naturally spawn. They were incredibly high level too, but why is it called the Warzone? I mean, it sounds menacing, but there's just Pokemon here and, oh god, someone's chasing me. Oh yeah, I might have forgot to mention the core mechanic of the Warzone, that being a player may force a battle with you, and if you happen to lose that battle, you'll have to give up one of your own Pokemon to them, which means I could lose my starter Garchomp. I, of course, run around the Warzone while being constantly chased for the entire day. This dude had persistence, but I was just a coward. That's really all I can say. But once I did manage to escape the war zone without losing a Pokemon thankfully, I did take quite a bit of a break from my journey by just catching 100 Pokemon. This just happened because I caught a Zangoose, which knew False Swipe, a move which will just never kill but always leave the opposing Pokemon at 1 HP. This move just made catching Pokemon so much easier, and in 2 days already had 100 Pokemon registered on my Pokedex. But looking back at the list of tasks that need to be accomplished, I went on a hunt to gather fuseable Pokemon. Since I only needed to obtain 3 fused Pokemon, I created a little list of the Pokemon I needed to get, such as Aggron and Charizard, Lapras and Torterra, and the more ambitious Ho-Oh and Salamence. What I thought would take a couple of days spanned out and took so much out of me. First off, Aaron, which evolves into Aggron, can only be found in one specific biome, which is pretty rare in itself. Next, Lapras. Good luck with that. And finally, Ho-Oh. I mean, the thing's a legendary Pokemon. Oh hey, it's available for 200,000 coins. And the grind begins. By continuing this boss tower grind, which I did earlier, I managed to rack up 200,000 coins. Did I lose my sanity in doing so? Yes I did. It took an absurd amount of time, 4 hours and 33 minutes to be exact. For reference, I could have watched the second Sonic movie twice if I really wanted to. Now all I needed to do was hunt for Aaron. I did get Lapras already, but silly me forgot to press the record button on a vital moment. So just close your eyes and imagine me catching a Lapras, because at least then you'll have some visual aid to guide you, because I just got nothing. However, what I do have is footage of me looting a temple and getting a GS ball, which is amazing. I can use it to get Celebi. Also, I found this cool Aaron a day later, which meant I had all the fusible Pokemon required. Now, usually getting fusion keys to, fuse these Pokemon takes a much longer time to get, but thankfully, Siren hooked me up with a couple of keys, and I managed to get a couple of fused Pokemon. And I must say, they look absolutely amazing. Getting these fused Pokemon marked one more task off of my list. Now all I needed to do was get a legendary Pokemon in the war zone. But obviously being too confident with finishing most of my tasks already, I went ahead and obtained legendary Pokemon everywhere but the war zone. Such as using my GS ball on this shrine, I got a spawn in Celebi, which I then caught. But Celebi's literally ahead of Lettuce, so I wanted something better. By crafting a Orb of Frozen Souls, I needed to knock out nearly 400 Pokemon just to fill it up, which, of course, as always, took a long grind. But in the end, I managed to fill it up with a relative ease and spawned an Articuno, which I ended up catching immediately using Master Ball. Look, I wasn't going to risk it, but now I have a big bird, and I'm happy. As I was minding my own business in my house, a lonely Genesect spawned nearby, and now I had 2 Genesects. A fanfiction could be written about the two, but let's be calm here. Now I'd like to say for this next part, I went on a meaningful journey that spanned over 10 days and managed to reach a satisfactory goal, but that did not happen. Now you may be wondering what I'm talking about. Well, I saw that if you caught 25% of the Pokédex, you'd get this really cool rank. And well, since I wanted to become a trainer like no other, I aimed to capture Pokemon left and right, essentially just for my name to be green. Did I catch 25% of the Pokédex? Yes I did. Did I get the green name though? No, I did not, and still have not gotten it to this day. But for the next few days, I don't really do much other than a little bit of exploring, but then I realized I do have another orb, which prompted me to yet again go on a massive killing spree, wiping out a third of the Pokemon population, but alas, I had once again fully charged an orb from the blood, and let's just be honest here, more blood, of all the Pokemon that were in my way. This time, however, it was Zapdos that I chose to catch, as he was my favorite of the bird trio. But oh my god, I found Darkrai for sale, which made me super excited, as Darkrai is just my absolute favorite legendary of all time. I know I look like the edgiest kid ever, but I cannot pass up on getting Darkrai. So I spent just 2 days of grinding up money, just so I could have my very own Darkrai. But now we come to the point of the video where I went on the website of the server and bought some lucky blocks. Look, I was desperate, okay? I just wanted to do something worth noting down, but nothing of importance happened. But yeah, I do end up spending a little bit of money and immediately log out for the entire day, because the moment you buy something from the store, it announces it to everyone on the server. Like, dude, I don't want everyone knowing what I spent my money on, okay? But nevertheless, I opened my lucky blocks, and to my surprise, my rare lucky block got upgraded to an epic lucky block, the rarest one available to buy. But nothing could prepare me for this moment, as once I opened up the epic lucky block, I got a shiny Darkrai. Anyways, I go around and explore the world for the last time, as now I'm nearly done with my 100 days. Obviously, as my fortune would have it, I find nothing of interest, but that's not what's important right now. I still have one more task left, and that was to find a legendary Pokemon specifically in the War Zone. Realizing that I was just catching legendary Pokemon everywhere but the War Zone, I quickly grabbed all the cash I had and headed straight into the War Zone, where I spent most of the 99th day, all the way down to the dawn of the 100th day, where I see in chat that the Ultra Beast Blacephalone spawned in the War Zone. Technically, considering it a legendary Pokemon is still a bit iffy, but there was an argument that could be made, and that's all I needed. So I searched and searched and searched, but at last I just couldn't find it, and believe me, I tried. I went in there as much as I could, to the point that my wallet was drier than my messages. But sadly, in the end, we ended the 100-day journey without the satisfactory, climactic ending I was hoping for. But regardless, we went on a huge journey, caught hundreds of Pokemon, including legendaries outside of the War Zone, and even managed to fuse Pokemon, which I've never seen done before in Pokemon ever. We may have not completed all of the tasks in the end, but that won't ruin the amazing journey we went on. Thank you again for watching my 100-day Pixelmon journey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and of course subscribe if you enjoyed and want more cool videos like this. I'll see y'all later though. Bye!
Spending 100 days in Pixelmon is something I've already done twice. So to spice things up, I decided to make it more of a challenge where I was only allowed to use shiny Pokemon. I also gave myself a set of tasks to complete, such as getting an entire box of shiny Pokemon, getting a shiny legendary, as well as all 8 gym badges. Without further ado, here's 100 days using only shiny Pokemon. Oh, and this video took a lot of time, so subscribing would go a long way. When I spawned in, I was surprised. Usually on other Pixelmon servers, they offer a free shiny starter, but apparently that's not the case on the server I'm playing on, which meant I was going to start this challenge without any Pokemon to fight with. Luckily, the server does give you some money, which I used to buy a cheap shiny Pokemon from the GTS. Welcome to my team, Shiny Emolga. I crossed paths with this NPC that offered a free shiny Pokemon as long as I joined a Discord server. Being hesitant, I followed through, and thankfully it wasn't some sort of scam. Still, you shouldn't click on random Discord links. But hey, we got a shiny Krabby, so I can't complain. As I was exploring Spawn, I noticed these presents which gave a ton of coins when you clicked on them. So I immediately searched all of Spawn to find most of them. This gave me enough money to yet again look through the GTS and buy a shiny Sneasel and a shiny Munna. Hey, aren't you just buying shiny Pokemon? Well, yes. Okay, I gotta admit, I did sort of attempt this challenge before. You see, I spent 50 days of shiny hunting in Pixelmon, but sadly that video was scrapped because I just couldn't find any shiny Pokemon. That's why for this video I made a rule, and that is if I see a shiny Pokemon on GTS, no matter if it's a shiny Magikarp or shiny Weedle, if I can buy it, then I will buy it. This makes the challenge so much harder because I could be rocking up to a gym leader with a team full of shiny Metapods. But look, if you're still upset I'm not, shiny hunting, then let's make a deal. If this video gets 100 likes, no matter how long it takes, I will do a 100-day video where I have to use shiny Pokemon and I can only hunt for them. So if you want to see me suffer, press like. And now let's actually continue the video. Once I had a few Pokemon to my name, I started building a little hut in the middle of the mountains. I'm in no way, shape, or form a good builder, but it's safe to say this is sadly one of the better houses I built. I looked through the possible gym leaders to fight and realized the first one on the list specialized in using grass types. This seemed promising because I had an Emolga that just learned acrobatics, a move with a base power of 55, which at first glance you may think, well, Ninten, that's not a very strong move, which I have to admit I thought the same at first. Until I realized the move doubles in power if Emolga isn't holding an item, which means it actually has a base power of 110 attack. This easily made it the strongest flying type move Emolga could learn, and without much thought, I rushed into the grass gym, only to lose. Look, I didn't think this gym leader would have 6 Pokemon at level 100. I mean, Brock has like a level 12 Geodude. You can't blame me for assuming the gym would be easy. But that's when I realized I had to train my Pokemon to their fullest potential. Introducing Eevee training. Eevees are like extra points for your Pokemon stats. For example, if I was fighting a trainer that had the same level Pokemon as I did, as long as I had more speed Eevees than them, I would move much faster. Anyways, I mainly focus on increasing the speed and attack EVs of my Pokemon to make sure they move fast and hit hard, which proved to be useful as I took down a 3-star raid with relative ease. I realized the server offered rewards for hunting down different Pokemon with varying levels of difficulty. I chose to do the easy one, and now I had 4 hours to track down and catch a male Pidgey. Once I finished the hunt, the server gave me a lot of level keys, which I was able to use to open up level crates. This gave me a lot of cool rewards, especially an item that would prove to be very useful. A free shiny spin. That's right, I could get a free shiny Pokemon from these level up crates. So I set out on a medium level hunt for female Pidgeotto, turned it in to open up more level crates, and got nothing this time. But I was determined to get something good, so I started a hunt on the second hardest difficulty, and now I had to catch a male Wobbuffet with a specific nature and size. Luckily enough, this server allows you to spawn in specific biomes, so I was in the right place, but sadly enough the Wobbuffet I captured didn't have the exact requirements. Until I realized I could alter the DNA of this Wobbuffet. By using tokens and other currency on the server that I really just didn't care about, I could abuse the heck out of it, so I changed its natures and growth, and was able to turn it in without much trouble, and I got a lot of level keys, but again, nothing good. At least we have some money now to work with, so I decided on finally buying some items that would help me by evolving my Pokemon. Now we move on to the 16th day, where I made a little oopsie. You see, I caught a non-shiny Sizzlipede for the grass gym, and I realized I saw a button called Shiny Converter, so you know, I have a shiny Sizzlipede now. I did feel a bit scummy doing that, but most of my shinies were grass types, okay, so I went to another easy Pokemon hunt. Fortunately enough, giving myself a free shiny spin, which turned out to be a shiny Gossifleur, which happens to be another grass type. Moving on, I went back to spawn to look for the last few presents that I missed out on. Thankfully, I managed to have enough to buy a shiny spin. The gambler spirit within me was excited, but we all know how this turns out. Goldeen. Feeling hopeless with my team because who wouldn't, I decided to EV train Centiskorch before facing the grass type gym leader, and actually got pretty far with it. I mean, hey, it's not my fault these NPCs are level 100 and play like they're in the Pokemon Championships. I decided to distract myself from my losses by participating in Pokemon Bingo, where I could get nearly 500,000 in-game cash by simply catching all the Pokemon on the bingo board. So that's what I did for a while. It took time to track down Pokemon in their specific biomes, but in the end, I had completed a row and was ready to claim my rewards and continue on. Until I realized once you claim the rewards, you won't be able to participate in it anymore until 6 hours have passed, which just infuriated me. I spent all these hours catching Pokemon for only 50,000 coins. Oh, I knew I had to get my revenge, but for now, as we wait, I'll finish up a medium Pokemon hunt and use those level keys to open up crates, and surprisingly cross over 1 million total coins, so I decided to expand my team by recruiting more shiny Pokemon to the cause. And on this brand new day, I chose to spice things up by activating a 1-hour shiny booster, and after walking around for a couple minutes, I stand still, and continue to stand still. Okay, I forgot to log off, but hey, at least I'm finally moving with a goal in mind, catching 10% of the Pokédex. You see, this unlocks a rank and a kit, but more importantly, I get a free shiny Pokemon as my reward too. So I pretty much just start chucking Pokeballs at whatever I saw until I reach the threshold and claim my reward. Also managed to discover something called contracts while I was doing this, and with a name like that, I just imagined the rewards to be so big, so I quickly got to finishing what was required and claimed a whopping 60,000 coins. Anyways, to cheer myself up, I decided to test my luck by buying some shiny spins, and finally, I got an actual Pokemon that could help with the grass type gym. I continued to test my chance by activating yet another shiny booster for an hour, again nothing even when I was hunting. But I did find a Master Ball, so it wasn't all for naught. I did treat myself to a couple more shiny Pokemon before finally attempting to fight the grass type gym leader again, only to fall before them as I always have. Was I really not going to succeed and keep on failing over and over again? No, I wasn't. I've overcome much harder challenges to fail here. I wasn't gonna give up no matter what, so now my full attention was towards beating this gym leader once and for all, so I got to managing my team of shinies I had so far, choosing the best of the best, and even got on call with my friend Serpenite, who coached me through it all. I learned a lot of valuable information, such as actually looking at my Pokemon stats and using the appropriate moves to make sure I deal the most damage. This coaching session went on for a while, but eventually I was ready to test out everything I learned. The battle was intense. We were trading Pokemon left and right until it was sudden death. My Yanmega against their Flapple. And then it happened. Young Mega endured an attack and struck back with a crit air slash that ended the battle with a win. I had done it. I had secured myself 1 gym badge. Feeling high from happiness though, I rushed into the second gym specializing in fire types that absolutely laid waste to my team. Initially I was going to hunt down a Pachirisu for my quest after my embarrassing defeat, but surprisingly I encountered a wild shiny Swablu. To think I finally found a shiny Pokemon in the wild and it only took 51 days. Yeah, do you believe my luck now? I continue to work towards my goal of a full box of shiny Pokemon by completing contracts and Poke hunts for a lot of money so that I can spend it all on shiny Pokemon. This included using up my last shiny booster, which gave me absolutely nothing, but of course the moment I stop recording, I get an Ultra Beast from Wonder Trade. Obviously I can't use it, but it's cool, I had one nonetheless. But that prompted me to buy an Orb of Frozen Souls. You see, if I kill 375 Pokemon, it'll fill up and allow me to summon the legendary Pokemon Articuno. So I did just that, wiping out an entire species and a half so I could call upon this frozen chicken that I quickly master balled with relative ease, and sadly could not convert to a shiny Pokemon, which meant I would either have to somehow find a shiny legendary, or save up millions of coins to buy a shiny legendary Pokemon. Or third option, buy a shiny Regirock, because they're the cheapest and nobody wants it. Anyways, strategy time. I initially came up with a duo led by a Rain Dancing Kingler with a Focus Sash equipped and a Ludicolo that had the ability Swift Swim, which worked pretty well until I kept on losing. I was straying further away from winning, just losing and losing and more losing. This made me rethink if the challenge was possible. That's when I came up with a solution. Introducing the Gym Leader Gauntlet. A series of gym leaders based off the Kanto ones. I had to choose one team from the server and carry it throughout all of the battles, which I did easily. Okay, now it was too hard and then too easy. So I had all 7 gym badges now, and left with the last one, I decided to spice things up. If I lose any Pokemon in this battle, I would have to release them on the server. That's right, we're playing with Nuzlocke rules. So I started the battle by immediately switching out Ludicolo for my starter Emolga, which almost died. I knew I'd outspeed Executor, but I nervously fire off a Thunderbolt at Gyarados, and out came his ace, Mega Pidgeot. I didn't want to lose Emolga, so in the moment, I threw in Scentiscorch one last time. Filled with determination, I sent out Luxray and managed to take down Mega Pidgeot with a Thunder Fang. But it wasn't over just yet. I still had 3 other Pokemon and looks like I lost Luxray to his Rhydon. But thankfully, Luxray's death allows a free turn for Kingler to take down both Rhydon and Arcanine. But oh god, out came a champ. I tried to chip away at it, but sadly lost Kingler to him too. Out came Ludicolo and finished the job. I finally had all 8 gym badges, well, in a scuffed way, but sadly had to now remove the Pokemon I lost in battle. So I went ahead and picked myself back up, rebuilding my team, and I saw that we only needed one more shiny to get a full box of shiny Pokemon. So I went ahead and bought another shiny spin and got a shiny Molga, which was a dupe, so I didn't want to count it, but that's when I had a plan to get a lot of money and use that to buy an actual good shiny legendary Pokemon. Thankfully, I had spent 80 days so far in Pixelmon, so I sold a lot of valuables I had, as well as rare Pokemon such as Articuno and Karchana. I continued earning money by voting, finding drop crates in the wild, doing as many Pokemon hunts as I could, and finally I had 5 million coins, which is a lot of money, and used that to buy a shiny Urshifu. This finally meant I had collected not only a shiny legendary, but also allowed me to finish off my box full of shiny Pokemon. Not knowing what to do now, I decided to catch 30% of the Pokedex now for the Prodigy rank. It was really just because I could, so I checked a few Pokeballs for a couple of days, and there we have it, I ranked up. Okay, look, it's not that interesting. All I did was walk up to a Pokemon and press right click until I caught it, okay? There's not much more I could add. But now we're reaching our final days. I've got a full box of shiny Pokemon, a shiny legendary, and sort of kind of beat the 8 gym leaders. What is there left to do? Well, I'll tell you, there's redemption. Oh, I was robbed of my innocence and left to look like a fool when I spent all that time on the Pokemon bingo only to get a lousy $50,000 cash in hand. I was ready to strike back and complete the board once and for all, so I caught the necessary Pokemon left and right, and with nearly 2 hours left on the clock, I only needed to catch 4 more Pokemon! Oh, and look at that! One of them is in front of me. Now I only needed to catch 3 more. Oh, never mind. Smeargle was caught. Looks like I only need to catch 2 more Pokemon, a Snivy and a Wynot. What I thought would be a simple task only caused me to spiral down into insanity, as nearly 30 minutes went by and I couldn't find them at all anywhere, but a sigh of relief at last when I found Snivy. But what about Wynot? I found the place it's supposed to spawn at, and even started killing Pokemon after Pokemon to make sure it could spawn, but it just wasn't spawning. This is the one area it could appear, but it wasn't here. Is Wynot even real? Was all my efforts really for nothing? I pondered that question as I kept on killing Pokemon mercilessly with an hour left to 30 minutes, and now just a few seconds. It was over. I was filled with shame. All my efforts for a lousy 50,000 coins again? But hey, what a journey. We went through a lot in these 100 days. Some good, but mostly bad. I hope you enjoyed the video, even though it's a bit scuffed. But remember, if you want to see me do this again, but this time hunt all of my shiny Pokemon, make sure to leave a like. Anyways, I'll see you later.
In this video, I'm going to be shiny hunting in Pixelmon for 100 days. This means I can only use shiny Pokemon that I find in the wild. My goal for these next 100 days is to build a strong team of shiny Pokemon, get them all to level 100, and even make a fused shiny Pokemon. A lot of time and effort went into this video, so consider subscribing. Anyways, here's 100 days of being a shiny hunter. For the first day, I decided to choose Charmander as my starter, since I love Charizard's shiny a lot, and because this will allow me to fuse it later on. I went on to collect rewards from Pokestops, and since it was Easter, some Easter eggs too, which gave me some super rare items, as well as enough EXP candies to evolve my Charmander into Charmeleon, and, well, into a Charizard all in the first day. Just remember that it'll take hours for me to hunt down wild shiny Pokemon, so having a strong Charizard in the lead will help a lot. I continue to hunt down all the Easter eggs and finally teleport into the wild, where I break a lucky block and get a shiny Pokemon. But I decided I wasn't allowed to use it since it technically came from a lucky block and didn't spawn naturally in the wild. So the hunt was on. I wanted to find another shiny Pokemon to add to my team since it was just lacking quite a bit. Luckily, I didn't have to hunt for too long as I found a wild shiny Bergmite. I used all the rare candies I had on me so that I could evolve my Bergmite into a shiny Avalugg. However, it's supposed to evolve at level 37, but for some reason it was glitched. Luckily though, it fixed when I relogged. I went down into the underground training facility with the goal of getting Charizard and Avalugg to level 100. However, after only getting 3 levels after 10 minutes of grinding, I said screw that and just force fed them rare candies till Charizard was level 100 and Avalugg was almost there. I went around looking for more shiny Pokemon when my eye caught a glimpse of some sparkles and realized I had found a shiny fletchling in a tree. You could see how scared I was of it getting away as I constantly miss every single Pokeball. Thankfully though, I did catch it in the end. And not too long after that, I encounter and catch a shiny Squovit. This prompted me to yet again go back to the training area so that I could evolve my Squovit into a shiny Greedent, as well as evolving my Fletchling all the way to the end so that it could become a shiny Talonflame. Now that I had a decently sized team, I attempted to fight the gym leader but sadly was outmatched by the fact that he had 6 Pokemon and I had 4. This is when I had the bright idea to check out the fusion area and realized what I needed to hunt down was a shiny Aron so that I could fuse it with Charizard and get the shiny fusion Agrizard. So I tracked down a Mesa biome, the only biome which Aron spawns in, and started what would eventually be my rise to fame on the server. At this point, I've been searching for days and have not yet gotten a single shiny Pokemon, but that's when out of the blue, a stranger was threatening to chop off my limbs if I didn't follow them. I had no choice but to follow them and was soon auctioned off for only $5. You know what the worst part is? Nobody wanted me, so I was allowed to go back to the Mesa biome and continue my hunt for shiny Aron. But after a lot of hunting later, I instead encounter a shiny Carkol, which wasn't too bad. Still no shiny Aron, but I'll take it. And a day later, I find a shiny Roly-Coly. Yay. I wanted to trade it away since I literally just caught it the day before and didn't want duplicate shiny Pokemon. At this point, I've been hunting down shiny Aron for a few hours now and the entire server knows about this. That's when I was allowed to teleport to someone since they found a wild shiny Rattata and knew I was suffering and needed something on my team. which meant I finally had a team full of shiny Pokemon. Oh, and I found a shiny Watchog just chilling by the mountain literally a minute later, so it doesn't matter. Since I had the rare candies on me, I managed to evolve both Rattata and Charcoal, which made my team just a little bit stronger. But since I wanted to get my full team to level 100, I started battling some trainers at spawn and got rare candies as a reward for my victory. I even spent my voting points on rare candies and was able to get a stack all by myself. This allowed me to get my full team to level 100. I was just missing a few on my shiny Colossal, so I asked for a few rare candies in chat, and a guy by the name of Purple ended up giving me around 300 levels worth of experience and rare candies. He did this all for free, which was absolutely crazy too. And now I had a full team of shiny Pokemon, all level 100. But after realizing my moveset was horrible, I went ahead and bought some TMs to teach my Pokemon strong moves, such as Flamethrower and Earthquake. Even though I had great moves, the gym was still a hassle to get through, so there was really only one option left: EV training. So I spent the next few days organizing and getting my EVs up high. But once I finished EV training, I realized I never built my complimentary 100-day base. So I got to work, chopping trees down, landscaping, and eventually built a house in this beautiful plains biome. And now I was ready, equipped with a fully EV trained team this time. I went in and still lost somehow. After my sad loss, I went into the war zone to just get a feel of it. And remember, the war zone is a dangerous place. I could lose my Pokemon if someone challenged and beat my team, which at this point wasn't going to be hard. So after going in and out for a few times, I just said screw it. I went in for a full 10 minutes. I did this because someone told me that the shiny odds in the war zone were doubled, and I just sort of believed them. But this meant for the next 10 minutes, I could possibly lose one of my shiny Pokemon, which was obviously going to be my shiny Charizard. I mean, look at these Pokemon. Who wouldn't choose shiny Charizard? Luckily, there wasn't too much trouble until I finally saw someone in the war zone with me. They were chasing me down, and I wasn't about to lose one of my precious Pokemon, so I ran like the coward I was, and managed to warp out just in time before losing any of my Pokemon. But after my little adventure, I came back to the Mesa biome in order to get that shiny Aaron. But I wouldn't be finding that just yet, as I instead encounter a shiny Volibee, which isn't my favorite Pokemon, I'll be honest. I don't know, there's just something I really don't like about it. But if you thought my luck couldn't get any more strange, I instead find a shiny Torkoal and a shiny Larvitar, which I actually added to my team and evolved it through till it became a Tyranitar, since it was pretty strong. And even another shiny Roly-Poly. At this point, everyone on this Pixelmon server knew me as a crazy man who spent nearly half of his time on the server in a Mesa biome hunting down this stupid shiny Aaron. But you want to know how unlucky I really got? I had a better chance at encountering a Rayquaza than finding a shiny Aaron. Yes, I actually had a Rayquaza spawn on me that I sold off since I couldn't use, but oh my god, my luck is absolutely cursed in the best possible way, and I love it, but hate it at the same time. Just after that crazy Rayquaza spawn, I did encounter a Mega Boss, which I managed to take down thanks to my shiny Charizard, and ended up getting a Metagrossite, which I sadly couldn't use. One shiny Scraggy later though, I entered a tournament that gave me a set of random Pokemon. I was now tasked with somehow understanding this competitive team and use it to defeat my opponent. For as bad of a battler I was, I did get pretty far, only losing to their last Pokemon, a Fuse Kyurem, so I guess it wasn't all too bad. But just as I was prepared to move on, I finally found it. You can see how excited I was when I caught that stupid shiny Aaron, which costed me nearly 40 days of just purely hunting for it. You wanted me to suffer last video, and I'm suffering. I quickly fed it all the candies I had so that it could end up evolving into a shiny Aggron. And now it was time to finally fuse both my shiny Charizard and my shiny Aggron. And there we had it. We completed all the tasks. And now we had the very powerful shiny Agrizard on our team. I immediately went to the first gym, prepared to wipe the floor with Agrizard, but still somehow found a way to lose. Okay, at this point, I'm the problem. Anyways, I joined another tournament and actually had a pretty solid team, which, oh, wait, never mind. This Toxapex not only completely swept over half of my team, but even went on to win the entire tournament. As we close in near the end, I saw that somebody got a shiny legendary Pokemon from an epic lucky block. That's when I contacted Purple, who told me he could hook me up with one, and I was more than willing to pay my entire net worth of 130,000 coins for the chance at a shiny Darkrai, my favorite legendary Pokemon. So I grinded the boss tower, earning items, and then selling them to increase the amount of money I had, while Purple was off trying to upgrade his rare lucky blocks into epic lucky blocks. However, out of nowhere, I was just challenged by a helper of the server in a 1-on-1 battle against my starter, which just so happened to be an Agrizard. And I won fair and square. Purple eventually notified me that he had in fact acquired the epic lucky block, and after a bit of negotiating, actually allowed me to have it for free. Oh, and also the legendary Pokemon he transpawned on us. After going back to my base, I counted down and eventually opened the epic lucky block and got a shiny Deoxys that I did not want. But of course it's sort of a shiny legendary Pokemon, so I had to catch it because of its value. But other than that, I just do not like Deoxys. After my epic unboxing, I was challenged by yet another helper to a 6-on-6 battle. Thanks to my Agrizard, I was feeling cocky. I thought I had it in the bag, but that's when I realized, oh yeah, I'm still the one that's battling, and subsequently lost because I'm the worst Pokemon battler there ever was. But once that was over, I had time to reflect on my journey. As I flew around desperately searching for things to do, I realized I had actually reached the end of my adventure, and boy was it a fun one. Everyone on the Reshiram server was super helpful and gave me lots of items and fun times. I'm surprised it has the lowest player count amongst all the other servers, as the people I found in there were some of the kindest I've ever seen. So shout out to all the people that helped me on my Pixelmon journey. And now it was time to end my video with a bit of gambling. I paid this dude 25,000 coins like 3 times to bone meal grass, and if I did get a flower, I would win the Pokemon I wanted, which was Marshadow. Woo! Anyways, that's it. Subscribe and bye.
Everybody knows how powerful legendary Pokemon are, so that's why I decided to spend 100 days using only legendary Pokemon, so that I could become the strongest Pokemon trainer on the Zekrom server. But in order to prove myself, I would need to complete these 5 goals. First, we need to assemble a full team of legendary Pokemon, get them all to level 100, then we'd need to catch a total of 15 legendary Pokemon, including a legendary found in the war zone, as well as somehow getting a shiny legendary. Will I be able to complete these goals and become the ultimate legendary trainer on Zekrom? Watch till the end to find out. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, because once we reach 2,000 subscribers, I'll create a 100-day video using only Pokemon fusions. And without further ado, let's start our 100-day journey. Now, since starter Pokemon are not legendary Pokemon, this meant I would have to use this Mudkip that I picked until I finally had a legendary on my team. And since I recorded this way back when Easter was a thing, I was able to participate in the Easter egg hunt right as I started my journey. There were around 50 Easter baskets scattered around spawn, and would give me random loot whenever I found one. I didn't think it would help as much at first, but I managed to get a Master Ball from my 9th Easter basket. The best Pokeball you could get and one of the most important items for a challenge like this. I ended up evolving my Mudkip into a Swampert already after using all of the EXP candies I found, and while baskets were still left to be found, so I continued my hunt. I only stopped after finding my 39th basket because my inventory was getting a bit too cramped. Also, on a complete whim, I ran into the subscriber of mine, so I redeemed a shiny Elekid as one of the many rewards I got from the Easter event and gave it to them as a show of appreciation. I didn't think much of it and continued to walk around spawn, only to see that the same person gifted me the legendary Pokemon Moltres. Now, I'm not a big fan of accepting gifted Pokemon in challenges like these, but if I did accept this, it meant I could actually follow the only rule I set out, being that I can only use a legendary Pokemon, so I accepted it. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, it was just a Moltres, but still this meant I could now only use legendary Pokemon. After that, it was finally time to set out into the world of Pokemon. I was completely ready to only have Moltres by my side for a long time, until I opened up this uncommon Lucky Block, which upgraded to a rare and then an epic Lucky Block, which was insanely lucky as the epic Lucky Block will spawn a guaranteed shiny legendary Pokemon. In this case, it was the shiny Giratina, which looks incredible. I didn't have to worry about which Pokeball to use since Pokemon spawned from Lucky Blocks have a 100% catch rate. But out of the blue, I was challenged by a trainer known as Shiny Hunter to a battle where we both used 2 Pokemon each. He sent out a Mega Lucario, but was unfortunately met with my Moltres, who knocked it out with just 1 move. And finally, I used my Shiny Giratina to defeat his Hisuian Typhlosion, winning me the battle. Once we wrapped up our battle, Shiny Hunter swore he would train up his team and battle me yet again on day 99. So I guess now I had another goal in my 100-day journey, and that is to beat Shiny Hunter when we have our final battle on day 99. I bought an Ice Stone from the Pokemart and combined it with the orb I got earlier from the Easter event to make an Orb of Frozen Souls. Killing 375 Pokemon will allow it to be fully charged and spawn the legendary Pokemon Articuno. But before I could do any of that, a random tournament was starting where I was given a random team and had to battle against multiple random people on the Zekrom server. I had a really stacked team. Well, besides Audino. And well, I did end up winning to no one's surprise. The semifinals started, and I managed to get a free pass to the final round of the tournament because of the uneven amount of players. And luckily enough, thanks to my strong team and decent battling skills, I ended up winning the entire tournament and got an epic crate key as my reward. I opened up my crate and funnily enough got a non-legendary shiny convert and size change. This does not help me at all because I only use legendary Pokemon, so it was pretty cool I won the tournament, but kinda sucked that my rewards cannot be used at all. But now that I was done with the tournament, I continued to knock out Pokemon in the wild to fill up my Orb of Frozen Souls, and if you've ever filled up an orb before, you'd know it's a very long and boring process. But I could finally spawn in the legendary Pokemon Articuno. I used a Master Ball without hesitation and now had 3 legendary Pokemon. But my streak of getting legendary Pokemon wouldn't end there as I found a rare Lucky Block in my 49th Easter basket. This Lucky Block would guarantee me a legendary Pokemon at least, but when I opened it, it upgraded to an epic Lucky Block, which happened to spawn a shiny Zeraora. And once I realized I had a lot of money, I went on the GTS and bought myself a Regidrago too, bringing my total of unique legendaries to 5. Having strong legendary Pokemon wasn't enough. I needed to maximize their potential, so I went ahead and started to EV train my entire team, mainly training up their speed EVs as well as their attack or special attack if it applied to them. Once I was done with that, I went into the Ultra Space Dimension in search of a very particular item, known as Type Plates. You see, if I collected all of the 17 different type plates available in the game, I would be able to summon the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. So I went ahead and stayed hunting in the Ultra Space Dimension to hopefully find some plates. But just a bit of time later, I saw Pheromosa spawn in front of me. I ended up catching it, and yes, I know, Ultra Beasts are not legendary Pokemon, but I still wanted to use it since it's my favorite Ultra Beast, so I promised the moment I catch another legendary Pokemon, I'll evict it from my team. As soon as I left the Ultra Space Dimension on day 21, I had to store away all my items in the chest because I found too many valuable goods. Oh yeah, I also ended up with 9 out of the total 17 different Arceus plates. But these 2 chests in the middle of nowhere wasn't working for me, so I went off and started building myself a house around this mountain biome. Now I'm not the greatest when it comes to building, but you gotta admit, this does not look bad. Now it was time to actually level up my entire team to level 100. I did so by using countless rare candies thanks to the Easter event, but once I realized that wasn't enough, I went into the boss tower and started defeating boss Pokemon to gain levels, which proved to be hard, once all the boss Pokemon were much stronger than anticipated. Funnily enough, when I went back to my base out of pure frustration, I found a Mega Boss Steelix. Luckily though, it wasn't too much trouble and I ended up getting a Steelixite. But most importantly, got the Mega Band, which will allow me to Mega Evolve my Pokemon in the future. Anyways, after a full day's worth of grinding, I finally got my full team to level 100, and since I still had Pheromosa on my team, it still meant I needed another level 100 legendary on my team to actually complete my goal of a full team of level 100 legendaries. Anyways, it was time to continue my plate hunt in the Ultra Space Dimension. I kid you not, only a couple minutes in and I already found another Pheromosa. I tried to weaken it, but I guess I tried too hard and instead ended up defeating it. My Ultra Beast luck didn't stop there however, as I did encounter a Kartana not too long after, and this one I did end up catching. There was a server-wide event that was about to start. Oh, so I'm 99% sure the event organizer was flirting with me. Anyways, romance can wait. I had an event to win. The wall opened up and I ran as fast as I could through this glass maze and accidentally found the perfect path without a single mistake. This allowed me to get the #1 prize, which was an event key. Yeah, I might have lost the other 2 rounds, but I can't wait to see what I get from my event crate. Oh. After receiving a disappointing prize, my rival Shiny Hunter came in clutch and hooked me up with some less disappointing Arceus plates, which made me feel much more of a winner than that stupid Park Ball. I still needed 2 more plates, but right when I thought that was it, Shiny Hunter invited me to his secret base and proceeded to give me both the Splash and the Insect plate. These were the last plates I needed, and now that I had all of the type plates, it was time to call upon God. I used the Azure Flute, and there it rose from the depths of the world. I was looking at the god of all Pokemon, Arceus, which a couple seconds later ended up in my Master Ball because there was no way I was gonna risk killing it. Catching Arceus though meant I finally completed my goal of having a full team of legendary Pokemon. But that wasn't it. My rival Shiny Hunter tasked me with getting several items, and as I waited for him to work his magic, I was invited to test my luck for the legendary Pokemon Shaman. If I get the piece of cobblestone, I would win. It was a 50-50 chance, but sadly Lady Luck wasn't on my side until I sort of just flicked the lever again and got the piece of cobblestone, which ended up with me still getting the Shaman in the end. I don't know if I unintentionally stole this guy's Shaman or not, but we'll pretend it was always meant to be a gift and just roll with it. As these 2 Arceus were getting busy, Shiny Hunter finally prepared the cloning machine, which would have the chance of cloning his Mew and spawning in a Mewtwo. But sadly the first 2 attempts at cloning Mew went horribly wrong, and now we only had one last attempt before this Mew cannot clone anymore, and we'd just be stuck with 3 Dittos. But as I placed the materials in the cloning machine, I felt a strong sense of power resonating from within the machine. It was Mewtwo. He blew up the cloning machine, and it was my job to catch him. And when you're armed with a Master Ball, it's gonna be a piece of cake. And now I had Mewtwo on my team. But before I could leave, Shiny Hunter wanted to give me one more surprise, and that was a Mewtwonite X. This meant I could Mega Evolve my Mewtwo into his X form. We also decided to have a Mega Battle, but Mewtwo was so strong I didn't even realize I won. What I didn't see before though, was that there was a Battle Pass, and that you can earn Pixelmon Lucky Blocks by leveling up your skills, such as fishing, mining, and battling. And since I had a pretty good pickaxe, I decided to mine a lot of ores to increase my mining EXP, which would also contribute to gaining Battle Pass levels. But after I realized it was taking way too long, I went on to battle wild Pokemon while I was filling up my Orb of Static Souls, as well as using EXP candies to level up some random Pokemon I had. This of course all contributed to gaining Battle Pass experience, which finally allowed us to get the uncommon Lucky Block that sadly only gave us a shiny Skrelp. But that's alright, we have an Orb of Static Souls to fill up. And just a tad bit of grinding later, we had it fully charged and able to summon the legendary Pokemon Zapdos, completing the Canto Bird trio and also being the 9th legendary we've caught so far. Now I know we're halfway through the 100-day journey, but we can't forget about one goal, which is catching a legendary Pokemon in the Warzone. The reason why I filled my team with the absolute worst legendaries and Ultra Beasts possible is because if someone battled and defeated me in the Warzone, they'd be able to take away one of my Pokemon, and if that were to happen, I wouldn't want them to take away something valuable like my shiny Giratina. I went in hesitantly and started running around a bit. At first I didn't really see much until it said that Entei had spawned in the Warzone. Luckily I found it before anyone else, but unfortunately enough got kicked out because I ran out of time. Normally Pokemon would despawn once you leave the area, but legendaries usually stay around for much longer, so I knew as long as I quickly went in there, I could find Entei and finally throw my Master Ball and catch him. There was a broadcast that I caught Entei, meaning that everyone on the server knew I was in the Warzone. I had a minute left, but a huge target on my back. Thankfully, after running around a bit, I was warped out of the Warzone and now had Entei on my team. As I was in spawn, I noticed that the Easter event had ended and now a treasure hunt had started. Since it was relatively new, there weren't any guides posted anywhere, so I had to find them all by myself. And just like the Easter event, it gave me super valuable loot. There were 25 chests in total, and finding all of them was a real pain. But I did get a few lucky blocks, a Master Ball, as well as a fusion shard once I found all of the treasure chests. Now, I wasn't planning on fusing any legendaries in this video, but remember 2,000 subscribers and you'll get a 100-day video where I only use Pokemon fusions. Also, if you're wondering, I didn't get a legendary Pokemon from these lucky blocks. So far, I've spent 63 days on the server, and because of that, I have a lot of money, so I ended up buying the legendary Pokemon Urshifu and Heatran. I did also see that a Thundurus was for sale, and being a huge fan of Generation 5, I really wanted to get it on my team, so I went ahead and grinded in the boss tower, which went worse than usual as most of the players were doing the same. But once I had enough money, I saw that Thundurus had already been bought on the GTS, meaning if I wanted to buy a legendary, I'd have to get more money. So I went ahead and sold my fusion shards and continued grinding in the boss tower. But now that I had 120,000 coins, I was able to buy the legendary Pokemon Zacian from the GTS. But that wasn't the only legendary I was able to get, as I soon used all of my voting points to buy a bundle of Pokeballs, which included the GS Ball. The GS Ball was important because it allowed me to summon the mythical Pokemon Celebi from its shrine. In total, I have 14 legendary Pokemon now. I only needed one more unique legendary to complete my final goal for this challenge, and luckily this subscriber actually gave me the 15th legendary Pokemon. It just happened to be another Celebi. I needed 15 different legendary Pokemon for me to actually finish my challenge, so this Celebi didn't count towards that, but it was still super nice of this player to give me a legendary Pokemon for free. Anyways, I invited my subscribers over to my base, where we had some friendly Pokemon battles. This allowed me to get used to my team because I still had to have my final battle with my rival. Anyways, we just kinda hung around my base and had some fun doing absolutely nothing worth noting down. They apparently also built this giant rocket behind my base. I don't know about you, but that's one very long rocket. There was an attempt on the stage to start hunting for the final legendary Pokemon, until I realized that Zekrom was a pretty active server, and had a lot of players online, meaning it's very unlikely for a legendary to spawn on us. I had almost no money at all, and had to get a lot if I wanted to buy another legendary Pokemon to finish my goal. So that's what I did. Killing boss Pokemon, selling loot. Killing more boss Pokemon, selling even more loot, until I finally had enough money and decided on buying Enamorus, a legendary Pokemon first introduced in Legends of Arceus, which was one of my favorite Pokemon games ever. This now meant I had 15 unique legendary Pokemon and have finally completed all of my goals. All that was left was to defeat Shiny Hunter, to prove myself as one of the strongest Pokemon trainers on this server. And so, it was time to forge my team for the final battle. I handpicked my team using the best of the best legendary Pokemon, and also Zacian, which happened to be level 80. So I quickly spent a day in the level grinder. It also didn't help that Zacian kept on dying after every single battle. But finally, I had my full team of level 100 legendary Pokemon ready to take down Shiny Hunter. Of course, before we fight him, we still needed some more battle experience, so I attempted to take down the Cyrod NPC only to lose at record speed. But since there was still a lot of time before our battle, I decided to commemorate our achievement by taking some of that time to build this Master Ball trophy as a way to immortalize our achievement on the server. It just took a really long time to build because finding quartz in the Nether gave me physical pain. Still wanting to gain some more battle experience, I fought more trainers at spawn, including a rematch against Cyrod. I also tested my skills at the battle tower, and I'd like to report that I failed so badly in quick succession that the server gave me a 10-hour cooldown. But battling skill wasn't all I needed, as I began building the arena where the final battle would take place. It took a long time to get all the resources and everything, but I really like how it turned out in the end. And once I finished making sure my Pokemon had the best moves possible, I got teleported into the Ultra Space Dimension for the last time in search of a type plate to give to my Arceus. Because for some reason, it's been rocking normal type this entire time, and I honestly don't know why it's taken me this long to realize that. One Pheromosa later, I found this interesting chest that had 4 Beast Balls inside of it. I've done around 5 100-day videos, and this is the first time I've ever seen this. I just thought it was interesting enough to point out. I also found this very cool server-exclusive Paradox Dragapult. Maybe I should do a 100-day video using only Paradox Pokemon. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see that. Anyways, I ended up leaving the Ultra Space Dimension with only 3 type plates and 2 Z crystals. I decided to give Arceus the ground type plate and Zeraora the Phytinium Z. Now that I was fully prepared, it was time to contact Shiny Hunter. And there he was, right in front of me. We went to my huge stadium and even had a little crowd forming to watch the final moments of my 100-day adventure. It was all down to this battle to prove whether or not I've become a strong trainer. Anyways, it was time for the battle to start, and already my Zacian immediately fell to his fused legendary Pokemon between an Arceus and an Eternatus. Luckily, I knew Eternatus was a poison type, which was weak to ground types, so I sent out my ground-plated Arceus to finish it off. Arceus, however, fell to his Meowscarda, so I sent out Entei appropriately, only for him to U-turn into an Inteleon who was a water type. I was feeling very nervous, but I decided to switch out to Zeraora, who sadly could not handle Inteleon's strength. The battle was heavily out of my favor, but I still had one trump card. I sent out Mewtwo and quickly Mega Evolved it, allowing me to knock out Inteleon in a flash, as well as his Meowscarda, who unfortunately took an Aura Sphere to the face. Out came his Hisuian Typhlosion, who unbeknownst to me was immune to all of my attacks and defeated Mewtwo in just one hit. Thankfully, Mewtwo set the balance in this battle, and now, just like the first time we fought, we both had 2 Pokemon left each. Giratina was able to Earth Power his Typhlosion, and after receiving nothing more than a scratch from his Mega Lucario, was able to deal the finishing blow, allowing me to finally achieve all of my goals. We had done it. 100 days using only legendary Pokemon. As the sun began to rise, we all took a photo marking this occasion down in history. It was all finally over. Or was it? Today, I'm going to spend 200 days using only legendary Pokemon. Last time I spent 100 days and managed to get around 15 legendary Pokemon, as well as 2 Ultra Beasts and a few shiny Pokemon. So in order to prove myself as a true legendary Pokemon master, I have to complete these 3 goals. First, I need to catch 15 unique legendary Pokemon, only counting legendaries I haven't caught already in my 100-day video. Next, I want to get at least 3 more unique Ultra Beasts, and finally, I need to catch 10 shiny Pokemon. Okay, this has nothing to do with legendaries, I just really like shiny Pokemon a lot. Will I be able to complete all of my goals in the span of 200 days? Watch till the end to find out. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, because once we reach 15,000 subscribers, I'll do another 100-day video. I can't reveal the idea just yet, but trust me, it will be worth it. Without further ado, let's start our adventure. I finally logged back into the Zekrom server after about a month had passed. It was crazy to see my base after so long, but what was crazier was seeing a Charizard casually spawning on top of the mountains. Anyways, I had plans to hunt Meltan, and yes, I forgot to mention in my last video, but I'm counting Mythicals as the legendaries, since mythical Pokemon are actually a group of legendary Pokemon that are only available through events or codes. And yes, I did my research on this, bite me. Back to Meltan. In order to spawn him, we need to mine a ton of coal and a bunch of ores. I started smelting all of it, and then started taking them out of the furnace. For every piece of ore I take out, there is a 1 in 3072 chance that a Meltan would spawn. Of course, the odds increase with the more ores I smelt, but sadly the batch was a fail, and I need to do this all over again. What's great though is that I can actually sell the ores for money in return, which I then use to buy the server-exclusive baby legendary Pokemon Heatran. Okay, yes, I know most of you don't like me buying Pokemon, so I promise I put a limit of only buying 5 Pokemon on the GTS for the rest of this challenge. Also, can we appreciate how ugly this baby Heatran looks? It just does not look right, but baby legendaries do count as unique Pokemon, so that does knock one off the list. Now it was time to mine more ores in hopes for a Meltan to spawn. After a day of mining, I got ready to smelt all the ores I've collected in the cave. I had so many ores that I needed to craft more furnaces in order to smelt it all. While I was waiting for the ores to smelt, I realized I already had a Heatran. Now they both count as unique Pokemon, but earlier I was about to evolve it until I cancelled it at the last second, meaning that I almost ended up with 2 Heatrans. Narrowly avoiding what could have been a big mistake, I proceeded to collect all of the smelted ingots in the furnaces, only to be faced with yet more disappointment as Meltan did not spawn. I decided to take a break from hunting Meltan by opening up all of my vote crates. You can open up vote crates by getting the keys for voting from the server. It's completely free and you get amazing items to help you on the server, just like this paper that gives me a free random shiny Pokemon. I ended up redeeming it and got a shiny Sandygast. But now that I finished up opening up all of my vote crates, it was time to go back and mine for more ores. I ended up with a ton of ores and was in the process of smelting it all when a familiar face showed up. It was Agent Psyduck, who was my rival in another video. He offered up his Uxie if I went on another server and traded him a few Arceus plates. Not only did he give me a bit of money on Zekrom, but he held up his side of the deal and gave me Uxie. Well, now it's time to take the ores out of the furnace. And of course, I was unlucky again. And with the power of editing, I'm back with a lot of ores to smelt. When I began collecting the smelted ingots, I wasn't feeling too hopeful, until I took a quick glance around the furnaces and saw that a Meltan had actually spawned. I tried to catch it with a few Pokeballs, but its catch rate was way too low, and the fact that it was a level 5 meant that I can't really weaken it without killing it. But that's when I had an idea. Not only do you get vote keys from voting, but you also get points which can redeem special items in the vote shop, such as a bundle of special Pokeballs, which included a Master Ball. I quickly used it on Meltan and finally finished this long and tedious hunt. Well, that's what I would like to say. In order to evolve Meltan into Melmetal, I would need to smelt 400 pieces of ore with Meltan in my party. I ended up with a lot of ores, but it was enough to finally evolve my Meltan into Melmetal. I decided to buy another legendary Pokemon, but this one was for an actual reason. I really wanted to explore the Ultra Space Dimension in order to catch Ultra Beasts, but sadly no one was in there. So I bought a Lunala and used its external move to create a wormhole so that I could freely travel in and out of the Ultra Space Dimension. Once I was in, I looked around and started my hunt. But instead of an Ultra Beast, I was met with this very cool looking shiny Shuckle. My Ultra Space journey would be interrupted by a server-wide event. Here I'd have to go through the maze and be the first one to reach the end. There were a lot of people here, but once the gate went down, I ran as fast as I could, navigating my way through the maze, and luckily, I was the first to reach the end. This gave me an event key, which I was able to use to open up the event crate, and there I got both a Zygarde cell as well as a Zygarde core. These would be important items in case I wanted to hunt for Zygarde. Now that I was done, I went back into the Ultra Space Dimension, where I explored for a bit in hopes I would stumble upon an Ultra Beast. At this point, I've been playing for hours straight, and I was beginning to feel extremely tired. So I gave in and headed off into the Pokemart where I would sell most of the items I collected in the Ultra Space Dimension. I also grinded up in the boss tower and sold their drops to the Pokemart too, just so I'd have enough money to buy the Ultra Beast Xurkitree on the GTS. I may have been too tired to notice, but this means I can only buy one more Pokemon off the GTS. And remember, I still need to catch 12 legendaries, 2 Ultra Beasts, and 8 shiny Pokemon. With only 77 days left, I had a lot to do. But when I logged on the following morning, I was given a daily reward of 5 Pixelmon Lucky Blocks. I also managed to accidentally place one on the stairs, so sadly I had to open that one up all alone. But at least I was able to lay out the other 4 and open them up all at the same time. Luckily, I did get one common Lucky Block to upgrade into an uncommon Lucky Block. This rarity guarantees a shiny Pokemon. In this case, I got a shiny Turtonator. Now instead of playing more, I instead logged off, got busy with another video, then logged back on to receive the final daily reward, which just so happens to be a rare Lucky Block. I was guaranteed a legendary Pokemon. All I could hope for was a legendary that I didn't already have. I was super happy though once I saw that I got a Dialga from my rare Lucky Block. I also used this time to open up a couple of vote crates, earning me a Fusion Shard, a Park Ball, and even a random shiny paper that I was able to redeem and get a shiny Archeops. I made my way back into the Ultra Space Dimension to do a bit of exploring. As you can see, Pheromosa is very common, so I knew if I wanted to get a unique Ultra Beast, I'd have to avoid the Ultra Desert biome. I explored a bit, gathering rare items, but eventually I came across a shiny Choodle. As I was running around, I came across this new biome I've never seen before. I soon discovered that the Pixelmon mod had actually been updated, which added a lot of new things. If you're interested in seeing them, I posted a 100-day video where I basically played in the new update. Anyways, I found a wild Pheromosa as I was walking around. This might seem good to you guys, but I already have 2 of them, So this doesn't count as a unique Ultra Beast, but I wasn't about to throw it away, so I caught it anyways. But soon after I caught it, this guy on the server showed off his Paradox Pokemon Walking Wake, which is a Paradox Pokemon based off of Suicune. And essentially, all you needed to do was use a specific Pokemon paper and use it to claim Walking Wake. Now I counted this as a legendary Pokemon, but I'm not too sure if this really does count as one, since it is a Paradox Pokemon, but it's also based off of a legendary Pokemon. Let me know down in the comments what you think, but as far as Google knows, it counts as one, so I guess that's another legendary. I continued my Ultra Space expedition, traveling through uncharted lands and even fighting boss Pokemon. I walked by this really cool server-exclusive Paradox Pokemon called Slashing Shell. I didn't catch it, but subscribe and who knows, I might do a 100-day video using only Paradox Pokemon in the future. And to finish this day off, I came across this really cool shiny Dreadnought. It was time to go back into the overworld, but not until I grabbed a few Ultra Deep Sea blocks. I needed it for an item I wanted to craft. All I needed now was a few emeralds, so I went hunting for them, and yeah, it did take a while, but eventually I figured out I could just buy the emeralds and save a lot of time. So that's what I did, and now I had all the materials to craft myself a Zygarde Cube, a key item for spawning in Zygarde. I had trouble first at figuring out how to use it, but one tutorial later, I was equipped with the knowledge and ready to get Zygarde. I wasn't too sure on how the cells spawned, but apparently if you tower up and wait a bit, they should spawn. I did that just for a few minutes, but I didn't see any of them appear. I repeated this and decided to AFK for about 20 minutes, but I still couldn't find any. Once I did more research though, I finally found the problem. I was supposed to do all of this in a completely unrendered chunk, so I walked as far as possible and towered up in this untouched land. I only came down once I spotted a Zygarde cell, but to my surprise, instead of just finding one cell, I ended up getting 2 more, meaning I had 5 in total. I did this one more time and managed to get 2 extra cells before I found a completely new area and did the same thing there. This time when I waited for around 20 minutes, I didn't find a single Zygarde cell, so I had an idea. I went back into the Ultra Space dimension. Zygarde cells can spawn here, but I need to find an Ultra Jungle biome, so I did a little bit of exploring, until I had finally found the right biome. But to my surprise, I also found a Buzzwole here, which is super lucky. Anyways, I AFK'd without having any luck here, so I made the decision to go back into the overworld by using the command /RTP. This puts me in a completely random part of the server, which is exactly what I needed, as I found just a few more cells after I AFK'd for a bit. Now that I had all of the Zygarde cells required, I crafted the reassembly unit, and was able to get Zygarde. I finished this fantastic adventure by claiming my Battle Pass rewards, which gave me a lot of items, including a couple of lucky blocks. The first 5 I broke didn't spawn anything good, but at least when I broke the uncommon lucky block, I was given a shiny Fennekin. The Battle Pass also gave me a specific Pokemon paper that I used to claim Iron Leaves. This was another legendary Paradox Pokemon based off of Virizion. Now I went back into the Ultra Space and was super interested in the Ultra Deep Sea biome. Here I could find either the Ultra Beast Nihilego, or even encounter legendaries such as Diancie or Suicune. So I decided to camp here for a couple of days, coming across really cool looking Pokemon such as this weird looking Hydreigon, and even finding both a shiny Binacle as well as a shiny Mareanie. I was kind of getting sick of this dark looking biome, so I went off exploring and stumbled upon yet another shiny Pokemon. I didn't know this at the time, but this was my 10th shiny, meaning I've caught all of the shiny Pokemon needed and can finally tick off one goal off of my list. I was getting too sick of the Ultra Space, so I traveled back home, only to realize I was given a Necrozma by a subscriber. Now normally I don't like accepting gifts while I'm doing challenges, but I was kind of forced to accept this Pokemon as I literally couldn't give it back as they logged off. So to make this fair, I'm counting this as if I bought it from the GTS. Meaning I can't buy any more Pokemon. This means I'd have to catch 1 Ultra Beast and 6 legendary Pokemon all on my own. I know I had a lot to do, but before I could embark on yet another adventure, I needed to expand my base.
I wanted to make this one underground, so I dug down and even made myself a bubble elevator. After a lot of mining and blocks placed, I was finally done renovating this cave and turned it into a nice little underground base, where I could store a lot of items for the future. I also found out that you can earn rewards now based off of your playtime, so I claimed all that I could and got a lot of amazing loot, including 3 park balls, a stack of rare candies, a fusion shard, and even a paper that allowed me to choose a shiny Pokemon. I of course chose shiny Metagross. In front of my house stood Agent Psyduck once again. He was offering up the Ruby of Knowledge. If I gathered up all 3 gems, I'd be able to craft a red chain and use that to summon Palkia. So I paid him on the ground on server, then moved back to Zekrom, where I was given the Ruby of Knowledge. In order to get the other 2 rubies, I'd have to find both Mesprit and Azelf in the wild. Also, in case anyone asks why I didn't gem my Uxie, it's because it's already been gemmed, so I can't do it anymore. So all that I could do now was go into the wild in hopes to find some legendaries. And I was super close with this Reggie spawning. I couldn't find it anywhere, but I'm pretty sure it did spawn on me, but then sadly despawned as I was looking for it. Once I found this desert biome, I set up a little hut and camped here for a while in hopes that either a Groudon or a Hoopa would spawn, as they are both legendaries that can spawn in the desert. I was walking around a lot, even hatching an egg in the process, which gave me an Anubis textured Meowth. Of course, I got bored a bit too quickly, so I left for the Ultra Space yet again, and decided this time I'd set my focus on actually finding the last Ultra Beast. As I was exploring, I found a Paradox Dracopult known as Death Fear, which looked amazing, and when I entered the new Ultra Plant biome, I found many cool electric textured Pokemon. Those rare Pokemon didn't stop spawning, as I came across a Paradox Blastoise known as Iron Blaster, and even found another Pheromosa. Oh yeah, did I mention the Paradox Charizard known as Iron Wing casually flying in the sky? Well, there you go. With the Ultra Space crowded by Ultra Beasts I've already caught, I wasn't feeling too hopeful. But I stayed camping around the Ultra Sea biome for a very long time, until finally an Ultra Beast spawned, and luckily it was Nihilego, the last unique Ultra Beast I needed to finally complete my goal. All I needed now was to find 6 more legendary Pokemon. So I ventured out and found myself in a Flower Forest biome, the exact place I needed to be for Azelf to spawn. I found a small lake which was enough and began AFKing. I used these moving pads to avoid being kicked, but in the process I also realized Azelf spawned, and you can see me struggling to get off the movement pads. And yes, when I tried to send out Azelf, it kinda got stuck in the loop. Anyways, I did the same exact thing in the Birch Forest biome in hopes for a Mesprit to spawn. Also, I somehow managed to convince someone else to AFK with me for a while, which was super funny. But after a long time of waiting, I finally had all 3 Lake Guardians. I used all the rare candies I had to easily raise their happiness, which in hindsight I could have used berries, but it was enough to receive both the Ruby of Emotion and the Ruby of Willpower. Once I crafted the red chain, I headed back into the boss tower in hopes of getting a lustrous orb for Palkia. I grinded in here for a while without any luck, until I saw that the orb was being sold on the GTS, so I bought it to save time. I immediately ran to the time-space altar, and placed my red chain alongside my lustrous orb. The ground shook as the god of space emerged from the altar. It was Palkia. 1 park ball later, I now have both the god of space and time, as well as just the god of all Pokemon sitting nicely in my team. With around 12 legendaries caught in this video so far, I only needed 3 more to be crowned a legendary Pokemon master. So I began my final journey, in hopes I wouldn't fail this challenge. Luckily only 10 people were on the server, meaning that the chances of a legendary spawning on me was the highest it ever was. I explored through various different biomes, but still, there was no legendary Pokemon in sight, until I came across this desert biome, that is, when I saw a Groudon at the corner of my eye, meaning I only needed 2 more legendaries. I traveled far out by sea and eventually reached an ocean biome while it was storming. This is the exact weather conditions needed for Kyogre to spawn.
Although I waited around here for a very long time, I eventually gave up and continued searching elsewhere once the rain stopped. As I was traveling alongside the mountain, I realized I was in between multiple biomes, a mountain, river, and even a forest. This is a perfect spot as I essentially had the best chance on the server for a legendary to spawn on me, and eventually it was proven as a Keldeo spawned on the river below. 14 legendary Pokemon caught, with one more needed and only 4 days left. I looked everywhere I could and was beginning to panic. I did not want to fail this challenge. Unexpectedly, I came across my friend Wilson. In a desperate attempt, I explained my challenge to him, and he told me if I beat him in this Pokemon battle, he had something special for me. So, it was all down to this Pokemon battle. I sent out my Urshifu against his shiny Mewtwo nicknamed Ninten Stinks. I did not like this insult one bit and had Urshifu knock out his Mewtwo with one attack. Sadly, that's all he could do as he was greatly outmatched by Steve the Mega Rayquaza. I sent him my Giratina, only for him to strategically switch out into his Xerneas named Jake. I countered by sending out Zeraora, but he was setting up by using Geomancy, and quickly annihilated Zeraora. I wasn't playing around, and was ready to send in Zacian and took out his Xerneas with a behemoth blade, but Zacian soon fell to Dave the Landorus. Luckily I had a splash plate on Arceus and used a water-powered judgment to take it out. Out came his own Zeraora. Arceus put up a great fight but sadly got taken out. The battle was neck and neck. Wilson had the advantage, but I decided to pull out my trump card, Mewtwo. I Mega Evolved it, taking out both Greg the Regigigas and Bob the Zeraora. All that was left was his almighty Steve, my Mega Mewtwo against his Mega Rayquaza. Although he got me pretty low, I was able to finish him off with an Aura Sphere to the face. I had done it. I had beaten Wilson. He ran off once the battle ended. I decided to follow, and found a chest inside of my house. Inside of the chest contained a rare Lucky Block. This would guarantee at least one legendary Pokemon would spawn. As I placed down my last hope, all I could wish for was a legendary I didn't already have. All my stress would be alleviated, as when I broke it, out came Tapu Fini, the 15th and final legendary Pokemon of my adventure. I was extremely happy that I could finish this journey off on a good note. Thank you all for being part of it and watching till the end. Remember to subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you later. Bye. Have you ever wanted to fuse 2 Pokemon together? Well, on this Pixelmon server, you can. There are over 40 custom fusible Pokemon, and in this video, we're going to be spending 100 days using just these fusion Pokemon, so that I can become one of the strongest trainers on the server, because no joke, these fusion Pokemon are way too overpowered. But in order to master the capabilities of these monsters, I would need to prove myself by completing these 5 goals. First, I'd need to gather up a strong team of level 100 fused Pokemon, as well as fuse 10 Pokemon in total, including a fusion between 2 legendary Pokemon, a fusion between 2 shinies to create a shiny fusion, as well as a fusion with Pumpkaboo, since it's my favorite Pokemon. Will I be able to complete these goals before I run out of time? Watch till the end to find out. Also, make sure to subscribe because at 8,000 subscribers, I'll spend 100 days using only Generation 9 Pokemon. Without further ado, I logged onto the Groudon server, only to spawn with a shiny Froakie by my side. I don't remember ever playing on the server, and apparently I made no progress whatsoever, so I decided to continue on with Froakie. Now in order to fuse 2 Pokemon together, I need a fusion key, and luckily the staff gave me 10 fusion keys to use in this video. Anyways, I spent these few days finding all 25 treasure chests scattered around spawn. You see, they give me rare items like a Master Ball or even a piece of paper that will allow me to redeem any non-legendary Pokemon I want. Once I found all of the treasure chests, I was given a fusion shard as my reward, but most importantly, I realized I could actually already make a fusion. Since I had Froakie as my starter, I used the EXP candies I got from the chests to evolve it into a Greninja. Then I used this paper to add Dragapult to my team, and now it was time to fuse both Greninja and Dragapult to make the fusion known as Dragon Ninja. And I've gotta say that it looks incredible. But now that we had a fusion Pokemon, we could finally step foot into the wild and actually begin our adventure. Eventually, I did find a good little place to build a house, so I started to clear out the area and began construction of my beautiful home. Okay, maybe it doesn't look that good, but that's alright, I'll be spending most of my time in the wild anyways. It was finally time to level up Dragon Ninja to level 100, and you might be asking why. Well, did you know that on this server, when a fusion Pokemon reaches level 100, it learns a custom move? For example, Dragon Ninja learned the move Draconic Kunai. It's like Greninja's Water Shuriken, but it's a Dragon type move and will never miss its target. So yes, fusion Pokemon are broken. Anyways, I looked at the GTS and saw a Charizard and an Aggron right next to each other. They were basically begging to be fused, so I bought them both, then went on to fuse them together to create Agrizard. But wait, there's more. I saw an Eternatus on the GTS. Now Eternatus is super rare, and I don't think I've ever seen one other than playing Sword and Shield. So I knew this was my chance to buy it before anyone else. The most efficient money making method on the server is defeating boss Pokemon, then selling their drops to the Pokemart for money in return. And after I did this for a while, I had enough money to actually buy Eternatus. Now you might be wondering, what does Eternatus actually fuse with? Well, Eternatus can actually fuse with the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. This would allow me to complete my goal of fusing 2 legendary Pokemon together. But Ninten, don't you know Arceus is a mythical type? Anyways, I got myself into the Ultra Space Dimension in order to find some Arceus plates. And trust me, I looked everywhere, to the point that I reached the edge of the world. I ended up coming back home with a row of Z crystals and around 7 different type plates. But that wasn't it. I was suddenly invited to visit Agent Psyduck's base, and he had fusion Pokemon himself, as well as an entire collection of very rare and valuable Pokemon items. Like, this dude really flexed by having all of the Arceus plates on display. He kindly gave me several Pumpkaboos, including one with this Anubis skin, which kinda looks horrifying, but in a cool way. But eventually I struck a deal with him and bought 2 Arceus plates off of him. But that wasn't all. Agent Psyduck, Walter White? Wanted to avenge my late rival Shiny Hunter and prove he had what it takes to defeat me on day 99. So I guess I now had a new rival, and also another goal to add onto our list, which is to beat Walter White on day 99. Also, if I didn't make it clear enough, Walter White and Agent Psyduck are the same person. Anyways, moving on. I looked through all the possible fusions I could get, and once I took note of a few, I went on to travel by sea, on land, and even in the air. Surprisingly, I did find some random person in the middle of nowhere, but sadly I didn't find any actual fusible Pokemon until I was suddenly invited to Tom's base, where he handed me a Cosmoem for free? I was pretty surprised, until I did the command /Battle Top and saw that Tom was literally the richest dude on the entire server. Anyways, I spent some time with these 2 bozos until the sun set so that I could evolve Cosmoem at night, so that it will evolve into a Lunala instead of a Solgaleo. Now I had to hunt for a Ghastly, and luckily they're easy to find when it's nighttime. I leveled it up till it evolved into a Haunter, but now I needed it to become a Gengar in order to fuse with Lunala. Sadly, I had no friends online, or just in general. So I went into the boss tower to defeat boss Pokemon until I finally got the Link Cable Stone, an evolution item that allows tradable Pokemon to evolve without needing to trade. Man, this mod really knows their player base. I ended up putting both Lunala and Gengar into the fusion machine to create Lunara. And oh my god, is it huge! After that, I bought a stack of rare candies and used it to level up Agrizard to level 100, so that he could learn the move Gigaton Volcano. It's like Flare Blitz, but will always burn the opposing Pokemon. Then I used the rest of the rare candies to get Lunara to learn the move Eternal Damnation, a base 120 power ghost type move that also drains the opposing Pokemon's health by 10% for 4 turns. Yeah, this just proves that fusion Pokemon are really broken. On day 19, I bought a Bulbasaur on GTS since its spawn rate is extremely rare, and continued to train it up all the way till it became a Venusaur. Now I needed to get a Hydreigon, so that they could fuse together. Luckily I was near a mountain biome earlier where they spawn at, but I also managed to find several other Pokemon that could potentially fuse in the future. Thankfully the wait wasn't too long and I did end up finding a Dino, but once I fed it enough rare candies for it to evolve, I spotted a Xylos right behind it. So I ended up catching it because there wasn't just one, but actually 2 fusions that require Hydreigon. So once I got Xylos to evolve into Hydreigon, I headed back to the fusion machine so that I could create the fusion Hydrosaur. It looks a bit goofy, but still super cool. But it wasn't over just yet. I had another Zweilous to evolve, and this one actually fuses with my favorite Pokemon Pumpkaboo. The fusion is called Hydreigeist, and it is by far my favorite looking fusion we've made so far. Please let me know down in the comments which fusion is your favorite in this video, because this is mine by a long shot. Once I was done fusing, I went back to the training area to evolve all of the Pokemon I caught in the mountains, as I needed them to be fully evolved in order to become potential fusions in the future. Sadly, I still needed more Pokemon if I wanted to create more fusions, so I went off and searched far and wide for fusible Pokemon everywhere, but only ended up catching a wild shiny Houndour, which is still pretty cool, but kinda bad since I cannot fuse it with anything, therefore I just can't use it. I eventually met up with Agent Psyduck in the woods, where he of course had to show off his rare Pokemon, but also had a spare plate which I was able to buy off of him. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I was caught off guard. Someone had placed 5 different Arceus plates on GTS, and since I just bought a plate off of Agent Psyduck, I had no more money left, and had to grind in the boss tower, and fast too because I didn't want anyone else to buy them. Sadly, I was only able to snag the insect plate off of the GTS before my internet crashed, and I couldn't play for a couple of hours. But once I did come back online, I was warped into the Ultra Space thanks to Bunny, and continued my hunt for the type plates as I had 13 in total back at my base, and only needed a few more to summon Arceus. While I was in Ultra Space, I found a Pheromosa which I wouldn't be able to use since it can't fuse with anything, but also the fact that I accidentally killed it might have also played a role. Anyways, I went around hunting for more plates. I did a raid 2, and eventually found another Pheromosa, which I accidentally killed. I mean, can you blame me? Just look at their defense stat. Moving on, I ended up catching 2 very cool looking Paradox Pokemon that are actually server exclusives. So if you want to find one of your own, here's a server IP. But now that it was day 43, I decided to go back home with all of these plates and Z crystals I found, just hoping I had enough for Arceus. But luckily I had more than enough plates to summon Arceus. So I grabbed my 17 plates and placed them into the Arc Chalice to receive the Azure Flute, and then used that to summon the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. One Master Ball later, it was finally time to fuse both Arceus and Eternatus together to create the fusion Arcernatus. This might be one of the coolest and strongest fusion Pokemon in the entire game, but this fusion also meant that we had a full team of fused Pokemon. All that was left was to get them to level 100 so that they could all learn their signature moves. Hydreigeist learned Tri-Beam Cannon, basically a grass type Hyper Beam with a base power of 160. Arcernatus learned Divine Depletion, a 130 base power poison move that heals me 40% of the damage dealt. And lastly, Hydreigeist learned Ghoul's Nightmare, a base 80 ghost type move that lowers the opponent's special defense by 1. Now that my whole team is level 100, it was time to finish off the next task on this list, which is to get a fusion between 2 shiny Pokemon. Now remember, the odds of finding a shiny in the wild is 1 in 4,096, so it's pretty rare to find one, but still very much doable as we did find a shiny Houndour just a few days ago. So I went on a hunt for shiny Pokemon in the wild. This isn't great as I can't choose which shinies to get. For example, this shiny Murkrow is cool but cannot fuse with anything, but this shiny Magikarp can fuse. But sadly it fuses with Giratina, and getting a shiny Giratina just seems extremely unlikely. Eventually I bump into Agent Psyduck again, who in tradition kept flexing on me with a shiny Lapras and Torterra, 2 shiny Pokemon that can actually fuse together. I was really desperate for those 2, so I tried to strike deals with him, even giving him all the extra Arceus plates I had, just so I wouldn't have to suffer shiny hunting forever, which he wasn't interested in. There was one thing however that struck his interest, and that was the Paradox Dragapult I caught earlier, so I traded it to him for both shiny Lapras and Torterra, and of course before I could leave, he flexes his entire Paradox Pokemon collection. But this meant I finally had the necessary Pokemon, and fused them together to create Laprera. Now keep in mind, this is what a regular Laprera looks like, and I gotta say, I really like this shiny fusion. Once I saw Darkrai on the GTS, I knew I had to buy it since Darkrai is my favorite mythical Pokemon. So I spent a lot of time grinding in the boss tower just so I could buy it for a potential fusion. I did also find a glitch had spawned in the process. I wanted to include it because I thought it was a bit silly that crates were just in the sky. After a lot of grinding later, I was finally able to buy Darkrai. Initially, I was planning to fuse it with Delphox, until I saw that Darkrai could actually fuse with Gardevoir. Look, I swear I'm not down bad. It just looks better, okay? So I teleported in the wild and searched for a Ralts, and I gotta say, this hunt took forever. I was asking people in chat, looking through all the biomes. I even offered my Celebi for a Ralts because I was too damn desperate. But I was eventually given a Ralts by none other than Agent Psyduck. Once I finished up my raid, I placed the egg into my party and started running around, even using these speed pads to help speed up the process, and eventually it did hatch. I spent a day in the level grinder so that I could evolve my Ralts into Gardevoir. Now I could finally fuse both Darkrai and Gardevoir together, to get the fusion known as Gardevoir. I might need some alone time with her. Would you look at that? I bought an orb from the GTS. Time to fill it up so that it could become a Moltres. Anyways, all I did for this day was beat up some Pokemon to fill up the orb, until a server-wide event was about to start. That's right, it was Pictionary night. The event organizer would build something on the canvas and we'd basically have to guess what it is. For the first drawing, I guessed Castform's Rainform, which honestly, it was looking like I was gonna win, until they decided to give it a hat. At this point I was like, bro, they gotta be trolling, man. Well, I was wrong, it was actually a Probopass. But that's alright, we still had 2 more rounds to go. I guess Mewtwo on the next one because it just looked like they were building Mewtwo's body. But of course, it wasn't Mewtwo. It was a Litwick. The final round started, and I really wanted to win. At first I guessed Breezel because of its face, which I then changed to Mimikyu and finally Timber once I saw those pink veins. I waited in anticipation until I saw that I had won. I ended up getting a nice little Master Ball as my 3rd place prize. Now let's continue where we left off by using this filled up orb of fiery souls to summon Moltres. Okay, I'll be honest. I know you need a Galarian Moltres to fuse with Lucario to get the fusion Lucatress, but I thought maybe, just maybe, I could cheat the system and use a regular Moltres. Well, it didn't work, but that's alright because Moltres could still fuse with Entei, so it wasn't all for nothing. However, I did see a Celesteela on the GTS. After doing more boss tower grinding, I bought Celesteela off the GTS, and then went back home to hunt for a Weedle. Eventually I found one and trained it up till it became a Beedrill, so that I could fuse it together with Celesteela to create Bellastila. Afterwards, I traveled to a dark forest biome where I actually found a shiny Greedent, but this wasn't what I wanted. I had to wait till the sun was set so that I could actually hunt this Pokemon. Not too long after, I found Phantump and Mimikyu chilling in the woods. The 2 exact Pokemon I needed to form the fusion Pokemon known as Phantomime. I'll be honest, this might be the weakest Pokemon fusion we've caught so far, but getting this fusion was important as it was our 10th fusion, meaning we finished all of the goals. All that was left was to face off against Agent Psyduck on day 99. But we did sort of finish all the goals, and just like last time, I too wanted to build another trophy to commemorate our achievements. It took a while to get the materials, but here it is. Oh, you thought that was it? Well, look again. A trophy immortalizing what we've accomplished in this video. I also placed a fusion chart in the item frame here, so now this trophy is actually worth something. To prepare for the final battle, I formed a team of 6 fused Pokemon, which I was sure would be enough to defeat Agent Psyduck. I had to practice with my team, so who better than the Sired NPC? Okay, well I ended up losing. But still, I battled trainers all over Spawn to really understand how to use my fused Pokemon. And once I had enough practice, I faced off against the first gym leader who specialized in grass types. Surprisingly, the gym was way easier than I thought it would be. Maybe I overestimated the gym leaders. Nope, never mind. I lost to the second one. I had to wait 6 hours to rebattle the gym leader. So I decided on using that time to build a huge arena where the final battle would take place in. It took me a long time, but eventually, the arena was built. Okay, it does look pretty ugly, but hey, I built this giant skull to make the arena look less ugly. Okay, the skull looks ugly too. But hey, another event was starting, and this time it was musical chairs. Music would play in the background, and once it stopped, you'd have to sit on a chair, otherwise you lose. I got 3rd place, which doesn't give you any prize, but sadly lost to none other than Agent Psyduck. Oh, I knew I wanted my revenge. I continued gaining more battle experience by defeating more gym leaders. I fought against the 2nd gym leader again, and surprisingly won with relative ease. The 3rd gym leader wasn't too much of a hassle either, but by the time I beat him, the server was actually about to restart, so luckily I defeated him fast enough. The 4th gym leader specialized in ground types, and I started to worry when Greninja died, but that's okay, we had Hydrasaur ready to get the win for us. Sadly, when I wanted to battle more gym leaders, I wasn't allowed to bring along my fusion Pokemon, so I guess I got all the gym badges I could get on this adventure. Since there wasn't much time left till the battle, I wanted to go to the Ultra Space until somehow multiple people were at my base. We just kinda goofed around, took some pics. All in all, The people on the server were super nice to hang out with. I also decided to fish for Ash Greninja. I honestly just followed this outdated guide on how to do it. I don't think I did it right, but I did end up catching a Feebas and a Frogadier. At least I didn't go home empty-handed. But now, it was day 99. It was finally time to have our first and final battle together. Agent Psyduck, one of the server's finest collectors, musical chair champion, and a full-time show-off, who would go up against me and my history of 100-day challenges. The battle started with me sending out Dragon Ninja against his Smeargle. I started off by Dragon Dancing only to fall asleep that same turn. Once I saw his Smeargle set up, I got a bit scared. It continued to Shell Smash until finally Dragon Ninja woke up and took out Smeargle with a Draconic Kunai. He really tried to do something by sending out a shiny Dragon Ninja. It ended up being no match for my stat boosted Dragon Ninja, who outsped it. Next he sent out Diancie, and I'll be honest, I could have killed it with Dragon Ninja, but like an idiot, I used a Dragon type move against a Fairy type. I can't believe I did that, but that's alright. We needed to share the spotlight anyways, of course, so I sent out Gardevoir to deal with Diancie and then used its signature move Fairy's Dark Descent to one-shot his shiny Mewtwo. I was afraid when a Galarian Darmanitan came out with the name BP, but was no match for my Agrizard's Gigaton Volcano. Agent Psyduck's last Pokemon was a Greninja that used Dig against my Agrizard. I appropriately countered by essentially getting a free switch into Lunara. Once I weakened it with Phantom Force, I went in for a Sucker Punch and ended up winning the battle. I had finally completed all of my goals, but I didn't feel satisfied just yet. There was one more thing I had to do. That's right, I found another Pheromosa. I was gonna catch this to redeem myself for killing the other two earlier, until someone else needed it for their Pokedex. I gave in and allowed them to catch Pheromosa. Oh, hey, they sent it to me. I guess now I feel satisfied. Anyways, remember to subscribe for more Pixelmon videos, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! So Pixelmon just updated, adding a ton of new Generation 9 Pokemon into Minecraft. And I decided what better way to play this than to do a 100-day video using only Generation 9 Pokemon. But that's not all. This 100-day video will not be like the others I've done on my channel, because for this one, I'll be playing on my own survival world. And of course, I'll have 3 challenges to complete within the span of 100 days to prove whether or not I'm a true Pokemon master. First off, I wanted to complete the Paldean Pokedex. Now I know there's only 30 Pokemon in the Pokedex so far, but in order to catch all of the Pokemon, I'd have to travel far and wide, especially searching for special Paradox Pokemon in the End Dimension. So I knew this would be a tough challenge either way. Next, I wanted to catch 5 shiny Pokemon. I just like shiny Pokemon and they're pretty rare to find in the wild, so that's really it. And lastly, I wanted to catch at least 1 legendary Pokemon. Honestly, I would have loved to catch either Miraidon or Koraidon, but sadly they're not in the game yet. But don't be afraid, as Pixelmon adds more Generation 9 Pokemon in the future, I'll continue this as a 100-day series until I catch all 110 Paldean Pokemon. Anyways, without further ado, here's 100 days of using nothing but Generation 9 Pokemon. As I loaded into the world, I knew I already wanted to choose Sprigatito as my starter. Since I also chose it when I played Pokemon Violet, thankfully I spawned in a village, which meant I had both easy access to a Pokemon Center as well as a Pokemart in case I wanted to buy Pokeballs in the future. As I walked around the village, I had my first Pokemon battle against a level 10 Geodude. Luckily Sprigatito came equipped with Leafage, and I easily won. I decided to wander off from the village to see what I could find. And honestly, I did not expect to find a new biome straight away. There wasn't much here though, other than red grass, but I did see some Magikarps in the ocean and decided to grind up some levels, until Sprigatito reached level 10. I headed back to the village and saw a couple of stands with barrels and chests, which contained multiple Pokeballs. This will help out a lot when we need to catch Pokemon in the future. Anyways, I dug down into a cave so that I could mine a ton of ores, and I ended up leaving the cave with around half a stack of iron. Now as I was walking around a bit, I came across a Wiglet which I managed to catch easily. This was the first of many Paldean Pokemon I was gonna catch in this video, but before I continue my adventure, I wanted to do something new, which is naming my Pokemon after my subscribers. So if you want to be named after a Pokemon in the future, make sure to subscribe. Anyhow, I heard strange sounds underneath me and decided to dig straight down again. This led me into another cave, but I really wanted to know what was making that sound, so I kept on looking around until I eventually found a Glimmet, Since both of my Pokemon were fainted, I had to just throw Pokeballs at it until it was finally caught. Once I resurfaced, I finally set out on my adventure, where I found a Lechonk in the wild. Sadly, I accidentally killed it, but that's alright. I found a wild Smoliv that I was able to catch not long after. As I explored the new Pixelmon update in my Minecraft world, I came across great things. Like this buried ship which isn't new but contained a relic statue which sells for a lot in the Pokemart, as well as coming across several new biomes. It was easy to just get lost and really enjoy looking around for cool new things. Eventually I came across another Pokemart where I was able to sell the relic statue I collected earlier for $35,000. This was a large sum of money and would allow me to easily buy stacks of Pokeballs in the future if I needed it. But once I came across this nice plot of land, I decided to clear it out as this is where I wanted to build my house. Now usually in the past, my houses have not been the best, so I really sunk in a lot of time building this house, until finally it was time to unveil my masterpiece. And honestly, this might be the best house I've ever built, which says a lot about me since I hate building. To celebrate my new house, I fed Sprigatito all of the rare candies I had until it evolved into Florigato. Now I needed a healer to heal my Pokemon, and in order to craft it, I'd need a diamond, so I went down this cave and explored this huge mine shaft. Surprisingly, I found a piece of diamond ore in a minecart chest, which I guess works. I mean, I also found a dungeon with a stone plate in it, which would help contribute in case I wanted to summon Arceus in the future. But since I found what I needed, I left the cave and proceeded to finally craft the healer, and to wrap up this day, I found both a wild Nacli and a Tadbulb, which I was able to add onto my team. And since I already had a Thunderstone, I was already able to evolve Tadbulb into Bellibolt. Feeling adventurous, I decided to head southbound and explore the world. And in doing so, I came across various structures, most notably this strange tower. I didn't think much of it, but when I entered, I was suddenly battling against a trainer who had a level 80 Tyranitar. To no surprise, I got absolutely bodied. However, now that I had no more Pokemon, I could easily walk around the tower and even found the Fist Plate as well as a Scroll of Darkness, in case I needed it in the future of course. But not far off from the dojo, I found this weird dome submerged underwater. I was pretty confused until I took a closer look and saw the Arc Chalice. If I ever found every single type plate, I could bring them here to receive the Azure Flute, which is a key item for summoning Arceus. But summoning Arceus can wait. I found another village and chose to settle down here for the time being. With Lady Luck on my side, I came across a shiny Magikarp. Now I'm able to catch the shiny for my goal, but that doesn't mean I'm able to use it. Near the village though, there was a swamp biome. This was important as Paldean Woopers could spawn here, so as any sane person, I waited days for a Whoopie boy to spawn, until finally I found one waddling around the swamp. I was of course able to catch it with relative ease, but what I wasn't prepared for was this epic boss Rookidee. It completely swept my team and hit me with the reality that my Pokemon were extremely weak. This made me want to train up my team, but before I could locate the nearest Pokemon Center, I surprisingly came across a shiny Remoraid, which I was able to catch. But I also found another one of these water dojo tower thingies. Now I tried to carefully scale this tower on the side, but accidentally engaged in a battle where I happened to lose again. This prompted me to just run up the stairs and pick up the Scroll of Waters. And if you thought this day couldn't get any crazier, I stumbled upon a wormhole and decided, yeah sure, I could easily go into Ultra Space. Well, the moment I entered, I was challenged by not one, but 5 Pokemon at the same time. This was absolutely ridiculous, and when I did get destroyed, I actually got kicked out of Ultra Space. I knew if I wanted to have a chance to get back here, I'd need stronger Pokemon, so I trained up Florigato around the village, mainly beating up countless fishes, until it finally evolved into Meowscarada. Now, I really wanted to go back to my house until I realized it was 3,000 blocks away. Yay! So I traveled across biomes, coming across rare Pokemon on the way back to my base. I had to scale the tallest of mountains, including this hellish biome, and even found a huge ship which I quickly stole tons of iron blocks from. There was also the buried treasure I found, as well as a wild Venusaur. I can't believe I had to go through so much, but finally, I was back home. I immediately stored all of my valuables and crafted myself a diamond pickaxe. Then I went exploring in caves till I found both diamonds and obsidian. This allowed me to make myself a nether portal, but why, you may ask? Well, Pixelmon tweeted a photo of cool new nether structures, and well, I love exploring new things and decided to take this opportunity to explore the nether. And in the nether, I found rare Pokemon, even stumbling upon an Orthworm, which is actually another Pokemon I needed in order to complete the Paldean Pokedex. There was also an epic Yamask boss that I ended up defeating easily thanks to Meowscarada, and it actually dropped a Z Crystal as a boss drop, which was pretty cool. Eventually I stepped foot in the Nether Fortress and saw a ton of Honedges. And instead of a Blaze spawner, multiple Fire-type Pokemon came out aggressively trying to fight me. I wasn't really up for a fight and just ran off deep into the fortress, where I was able to find a couple of chests, including a fire plate, which was super lucky. With my team weakened and food supply drained, I thought it would be better off to just leave the nether for now. With my team looking pretty weak, I defeated many wild Pokemon to level them all up. This was a very tiring process without an EXP all, having to constantly switch around Pokemon just so they would all earn EXP. But eventually, I had both my Lechonk and Paldean Wooper evolve into Oinkologne and Clodsire. This became the catalyst for me to evolve every single Pokemon I had so far, evolving my Smoliv to a Dolliv, and then into an Arboliva, evolving my Wiglet into Wugtrio, my Knackley into Knacklestack, and then into Garganacl, and finally Glimmet evolved into Glimora. Evolving all of these Pokemon allowed me to easily complete over half of the Pokedex. But I knew if I wanted to complete the rest, I would have to travel very far because apparently Fuecoco only spawns in Badland biomes, and they're pretty rare to come by. So off I went on yet another adventure in search of a Fuecoco. As I was traveling across this huge ocean biome, I came across another shiny Magikarp. This was getting ridiculous, but also as I sailed across the ocean, I found different structures, such as this cruise ship, as well as this Magikarp submarine. But at long last, I sailed my way onto the shore of the Badlands biome. I had finally made it! I was nearly 5,000 blocks away from my house, but it was all worth it. Now I just had to wait until it was nighttime to find Fuecoco, which honestly spawned much faster than I had anticipated. Now that we had Fuecoco, I decided to wander around a bit, coming across yet another Fuecoco. As I was traveling around the world, I kid you not, I came across my 4th shiny in my adventure, and it was another shiny Magikarp. I could not believe this, but hey, a shiny is a shiny. More importantly, I discovered a snowy taiga biome, the perfect biome for Frigibacks to spawn in. Catching it meant that we only really needed to catch a Quaxly in order to have caught every overworld Gen 9 Pokemon, but that's for future me. Present me still has to travel around 7,000 blocks just to be back at my base. One long trip later, I was finally back at my house, and in desperate need to heal my Pokemon. I gladly organized my PC box, and was ready to train up both Fuecoco and Frigibacks, until suddenly, Lady Luck blessed my world by having Quaxly spawn right in front of my house. Just a few Pokeballs later, and I had now caught every single new Pokemon that can spawn in the overworld. It was time, and I was more than ready to finally enter the end. I spent all of my materials to craft the best armored weapon I could make, and now only needed to farm Eyes of Ender. Luckily, I already had Blaze Powder from slaughtering tons of Pokemon in the Nether, and well, Ender Pearls dropped from several mobs that just so happened to spawn around my house. Defeating tons of Pokemon eventually got my Quaxly to evolve into Quaxwell. After grinding up flint for arrows and gathering up all the Eyes of Ender, it was finally time to locate the stronghold. Surprisingly, luck was still shining brightly on me, because the stronghold ended up being only around 200 blocks away from my house. I dug straight down until finally I made contact with the stronghold. All I had to do now was locate the portal room, which literally only took a couple of seconds. Oh hey look, Fuecoco is evolving into Crocolore. Anyways, it was time. I filled up the portal by placing Eyes of Ender in each portal frame, until I was transported into the End Dimension. Here I would face the queen of all the mobs, the Ender Dragon. I immediately bridged towards the End Island and started taking down crystals from each tower so that the Ender Dragon could not heal itself. This took a while to do, but eventually I destroyed the last crystal. All that was left was to defeat the Ender Dragon. I tried my best, chipping away at its health every time it perched, but since I ran out of arrows, it took a very long time, But in the middle of my fight, I found a legendary boss Minior. I attempted to take it down, but it was just way too strong and I sadly lost the battle. Anyways, I still had an Ender Dragon to take down, so I focused on that, and without too much trouble, I dealt the last blow, killing the Ender Dragon once and for all. After that long battle, I decided to go back to my base and proudly display the Ender Dragon egg on top of my PC. But before I could explore the Outer End Islands, I decided to grind up enough food and blocks in case I needed to bridge out far. But now that I was fully prepared, I headed back into the End Dimension and built up my way through the End Gateway. And once I went through it, I was teleported into the Outer End Islands, and I gotta say, I was not expecting the new End biomes. I spent the next few days just exploring the new End biomes. My least favorite part was bridging over the void though, because one mistake and I was just gone. But after a bit of exploring, I decided to go back to the small Outer End Islands as I found out that's the only place where Paradox Pokemon spawn at, and the chance of them even spawning was 0.4%, so I knew we'd be here for a while. After a bit of camping, I actually found a shiny Minior. This was great as catching it would complete my goal of getting 5 shiny Pokemon. However, when I threw my Pokeball at it, it kind of fell into the void. I didn't know this at the time, but I completely bugged out my entire game, and the only way to fix this was by restarting it. Now I was really sad that I missed out on a cool shiny Pokemon, but I felt much better once I saw a Slitherwing spawn. It just looked so freaking cool and I wanted it on my team so badly. I learned from my mistake with the shiny Minior before and started building a wall around Slitherwing. When it came to it, I started weakening it before finally throwing an Ultra Ball, but for some reason, my trainer decided to throw it over the wall in the wrong direction, and because the Ultra Ball was now going down into the void, I was stuck in the same exact glitch as before. All I could do was reset my game, but I had enough for now. I wanted to change things up a bit. So I took a break and left for the overworld, and immediately went to train my Pokemon up a bit, evolving my Crocalor into Skelleridge, and Quaxwell into Quaquaval in the process. Oh, we can't forget about Frigibax, who evolved into Arctibax too. After defeating yet another epic boss and receiving rare loot, I wandered off a bit and found a village just around 100 blocks from my house. To think I spent so long in this world and have only found this now is crazy. The highlight, however, was this church-looking thing, because I saw an enchantment table which I was able to steal, as well as a crown that I quickly put on my head. You legally have to call me the King of Pixelmon now. I didn't really do much in this village other than stealing bread, especially in front of this police officer. But before I could leave, I actually had completed some sort of quest requirement for this NPC and was able to receive an Elytra as my reward. I don't remember what the quest was or even when I got it. This is what happens when you play too much Pixelmon, I guess. But nonetheless, I took my Elytra feeling amazing until I realized I had no fireworks or any mending books. One epic boss later, I made my way back into the Nether in hopes to easily train up my Arctibax so that it could evolve eventually. But I also wanted to do some exploring. Luckily I found a bastion where I was able to steal some gold blocks. But when I entered, I was super happy because this was a treasure bastion. The chest down in the middle would have super good stuff. So I jumped down like a madman and found 3 pieces of netherite ingots alongside a half set of enchanted diamond armor. But as I continued exploring, I found more chests filled with even more amazing loot. Once I was done looting up the bastion though, I decided to leave the Nether since there wasn't anything I needed here. I didn't really do much other than preparing to go back to the Outer End Islands. I wanted to buy a stack of Ultra Balls, but sadly the Pokemart near my house wasn't selling any, so I traveled to the ones I visited much earlier. It was a couple thousand blocks away, but that's alright. As long as I get Ultra Balls, it will all be worth it. Oh, I guess I'll just buy a stack of Great Balls then. Time to walk back home! And with the power of editing, I'm here. Anyways, making my way back to the End Islands, I can't do much more other than wait for Paradox Pokemon to spawn. It took a while, but what I saw shocked me. The Paradox Pokemon Iron Thorns had spawned, which is super weird since it's not in the Pokedex at all. Learning from my past mistakes, I just chucked a whole lot of Great Balls at it until eventually it fell in this little ditch area where I was able to safely battle it and weaken it. Sadly, its low catch rate made it super hard to catch and it wiped out my entire team in the process. But still, I was very determined and not too long after, I finally caught Iron Thorns. It still did not appear in my Pokedex, but that doesn't change the fact that I finally caught a Paradox Pokemon. I went back in the overworld to heal my team and add Iron Thorns to my party. I also took the opportunity to check back with the Pokemart and found Ultra Balls on sale, so I appropriately bought a stack for my future endeavors and then returned back into the Outer End Islands. It didn't take long for another Paradox Pokemon to spawn, but it just happened to be another Iron Thorns. A few days go by and I finally find another Slitherwing. This was my chance at redemption. I threw Ultra Balls at it and I caught it really fast actually. I took a break in the overworld and thought it would be a good idea to explore the world a bit, and I'm not even joking at this point. I soon found yet another shiny Magikarp. This was crazy. It meant we had found 5 shiny Pokemon, but 4 of those were all shiny Magikarps. On a brighter note, I found a legendary boss, Corphish. Thanks to my strong team, I was able to defeat it and got a type plate and an EXP candy as my boss drop reward. When night came around though, I saw a wormhole appear in the sky, and since I was a much stronger trainer than last time, I was feeling super confident and made my way into the Ultra Space Dimension. Since the Pokemon here were super aggressive, I made my way on top of the trees and parkoured around. I was completely taken back by the new Ultra Space biome. It had new structures I've never seen before. They were these sewer pipes that would eventually lead to chests and beast chests. This would give me super rare items, mainly Z crystals, but also type plates. I spent the next few days exploring as many pipes that I could find in the Ultra Space Dimension. I also ended up exploring various Ultra Space biomes until I decided to purposely lose so that I could be warped back into the overworld. During my time in the Ultra Space Dimension, I collected so many Z crystals and type plates which should help out a lot in the future. Now it was time to go back to the end and hope for an Iron Moth to spawn. And I kid you not, one did spawn, but sadly it was flying over the void, making it impossible to catch. To hopefully prevent this, I expanded the Outer End Islands and made sure the platform was huge. It didn't take long for another Slitherwing to spawn, but eventually an Iron Moth spawned out of nowhere. It took a lot of Ultra Balls, but finally I had caught every single Paradox Pokemon. Filled with excitement, I had to add Iron Moth to my team. I mean, it just looked way too cool not to. But now the only Pokemon left to 100% the Pokedex was Baxcalibur, so I spent the day defeating different Pokemon to gain enough levels for my Artibax to finally evolve. And now, we had every single Gen 9 Pokemon in the game. That is of course available so far. All that was left was to find a legendary Pokemon. And with not that much time left, I sort of panicked a little bit, and went into the Nether in hopes for a Groudon or Heatran to spawn. I explored the Nether, going through even more fortresses where I found more type plates and even a Master Ball. I came across an ultimate level boss too, the highest level rarity of boss that can ever spawn. It took every single Pokemon I had, but I was able to defeat it in the end, earning a Solganium Z as my rare drop. After looting a few more bastions and fortresses, I made my way back into the overworld and immediately took off for new land in hopes a legendary Pokemon would just spawn naturally. Trust me, I was super stressed out, until I came across a ravine. This jogged up my memory and I remembered that I could smell ore in hopes for a Meltan to spawn. You see, every time you smelt a single ore, Meltan has a 1 in 3072 chance to spawn. So in desperation, I mined so many ores, then proceeded to smelt all of it in hopes a Meltan would spawn. Even though I smelted multiple stacks of ores, Meltan unfortunately did not spawn. With only 2 days left, I rushed down the mines and mined as much as I could. But as the sun began to rise, day 100 was finally here. I took out every single ingot and sadly realized I did not complete all of my goals. I was heartbroken. Not a single legendary spawned in my 100-day journey. And when I tried my best, it sadly was not enough. But in my 100 days, I've caught every single Gen 9 Pokemon, found so many shiny Pokemon, well, mainly shiny Magikarp. And guess what? My adventure is still not over. As Pixelmon updates and adds more new Pokemon, I'll continue to play until I've caught every single Generation 9 Pokemon. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe and be a part of the journey. See you at 10,000 subscribers. Bye! One more. I could not be any closer. Today, I'm gonna spend 100 days in Pixelmon. but I can only use fire-type Pokemon. In order to become the ultimate fire-type champion, I'll have to complete these 5 goals. First, I need to gather up 6 strong fire-type Pokemon and get them all to level 100. Next, I want to get 3 fire-type shinies and 3 fire-type legendaries. And finally, for this challenge, I want to get a fire-type fusion. Can I complete all of these challenges in the next 100 days? Watch the rest of the video to find out. Also, make sure to subscribe, because once we reach 16,000 subscribers, I'll spend 100 days using nothing but Paradox Pokemon. Without further ado, here's 100 days of using nothing but fire-type Pokemon. I started off my adventure by choosing Cyndaquil, which also happened to be a shiny. To get a major head start in my challenge, I started collecting these treasure chests all over spawn. They give tons of special items that will help me out a lot, including several common lucky blocks and an uncommon lucky block, a master ball, a paper that allows me to claim a specific Pokemon, and finally a fusion shard as my last reward. Since I did all that I could at spawn, I used the command /RTP to randomly teleport somewhere in the wild. I then continued to open up my lucky blocks and at least got 1 fire type out of it, which was Charmander. Sadly, the uncommon lucky block gave me a shiny Steelix, which I'm not able to use. Now that I've opened up all the lucky blocks, it was time to venture out. I remembered, however, that I had a specific Pokemon paper, which allowed me to claim any non-legendary Pokemon. Of course, I saw this as a golden opportunity to redeem Slitherwing. Okay, I made a big mistake here. Apparently, Slitherwing is a bug and fighting type, and I just assumed it was a fire type cause, you know, Volcarona and Iron Moth are. This sadly meant I couldn't use it. I started day 7 by making some money. I was paid $50,000 to help hunt a Cubone with the hidden ability Battle Armor. To do this, I was temporarily given a Porygon with the ability Trace that would allow me to identify what ability the wild Cubones had. Now I know Porygon is a normal type, but trust me, I didn't use this to help me in any other way other than just doing my job, and yes, I traded it back once the outbreak ended. I ended up using the money I earned to buy myself a Firestone, which I then combined with an orb that I got from hunting down the chest earlier to create an orb of fiery souls. If I defeat 375 Pokemon, it'll fill up and allow me to summon Moltres. But in order to take down lots of wild Pokemon, I needed strong Pokemon of my own, so I fed Charmander and Cyndaquil with enough candy to evolve them both. I then continued training them up, defeating several wild Pokemon before deciding to feed them some candy yet again to have Charmeleon evolve into Charizard and Quilava evolving into a Hisuian Typhlosion. And to end this day off, I claim my Battle Pass rewards, getting yet another specific Pokemon paper, which I used to get Blaziken. I also had 2 lucky blocks and finally experienced some good fortune as my uncommon lucky block upgraded into a rare lucky block. I was guaranteed a legendary Pokemon now. I was super excited, but unfortunately got a Regigigas. Since it's a normal type, I'm not allowed to use it. Now it was time to build a house. I collected a lot of wood and other materials. In the past, my houses have not looked the best, that's why I gave it my all for this one build. After a couple of days, this is what I managed to build. I totally did not rip this off from Google. Also, the only reason why it took me so long to build this house was because my internet was straight up doo-doo. At the start of the next day, I devoted my time to fill up the orb of fiery souls by defeating countless wild Pokemon. There's really nothing much to say here, that's literally all I did. Until the orb was finally fully charged. This allowed me to summon Moltres from its shrine, and well, I wasn't about to kill my hard work, so I threw my Master Ball at it, and I finally caught Moltres. After buying pieces of obsidian from the shop, I built myself a nether portal. I honestly thought this is where I'd be able to find lots of fire types, but for some reason, no Pokemon were spawning. And trust me, I looked as far as I could throughout the entire nether, but there was just no Pokemon here. Feeling disappointed, I teleported yet again randomly somewhere in the wild to look for more fire type Pokemon.
I came across and caught both a Sizzlipede and a Darumaka, which meant I finally had a full team of Fire-type Pokemon. I used some leftover EXP candies to evolve Sizzlipede into Centiskorch, and then Darumaka into Darmanitan. Also, this guy somehow found my house, which was kind of strange. I decided not to think about it too much, and instead focus my attention towards beating the gym leaders. I faced off against the first gym leader, which specialized in electric-type Pokemon. Typhlosion took out both Jolteon and Yamper before being taken out by a Geodude that barely held on because of its ability Sturdy. Centiskorch came in and wiped the floor with the rest of the Pokemon until a Voltorb decided to self-destruct, declaring me the winner, and awarding myself the first gym badge as well as a few good items such as a Fusion Shard. Before challenging the second gym, I trained up my team a bit at the level grinder, and after a while, I went back and challenged the second gym leader. They stood no chance against my Fire-type Pokemon, and now I had the second gym badge. Feeling confident, I wanted to continue my streak, until I saw that the third gym leader wasn't even here. I was kind of confused, but decided to see if I could just challenge the fourth gym leader, and well, yeah, I could. Unfortunately, they had a team full of super powerful ground-type Pokemon that laid waste to my team in a matter of seconds. To try and lift up my spirits, I decided to open up some Vote crates, and well, I had around 180 Vote keys. You see, every time you vote for the server, which is completely free by the way, you get these Vote keys that allow you to open up Vote crates. This gives you either half-decent items like Pokeballs and whatnot, all the way to Fusion Shards, Master Balls, and even shiny Pokemon. And when you open up 180 Vote crates at once, sometimes you get blessed with a little bit of luck. I just got a Fusion Core, the rarest item you can get from this crate. It is worth around $250,000 on the server, and this is the most important item you need when it comes to making fusion Pokemon. After opening up all the crates, I trained up my team quite a bit before rebattling the fourth gym leader. I did much better this time, but I still ended up losing. So I knew that I needed to improve my team, so I used up all the rare candies I had to get Charizard, Typhlosion, and Moltres to level 100. I also saw that I was just one Fusion Shard away from making myself a Fusion Key, so I checked the GTS and sadly did not see any for sale, so I asked in chat if I could buy it from someone, and eventually struck a deal to buy one for $25,000. I finally had everything I needed to craft myself a Fusion Key. All I needed to do now was to make a Fire-type Fusion. Now I could go for a fusion between Charizard and Aggron to make Agrazard, but instead of doing fusions I've done already, I wanted to create one I haven't done before. My search eventually led me to a savanna biome, where I was lucky enough to find a wild Pignite. This was great, as all I needed now was a Meltan to create the fusion known as Melbor. After I evolved Pignite into Emboar, I went straight into a cave so that I could mine tons of cobblestone to make lots of furnaces. I then spent the next few days mining ores, and also found a Tidal Bell which, if I'm lucky enough, could spawn Lugia one day. Now that I had a ton of ores, I started smelting them all in the furnaces. Unfortunately, when I went to collect the smelted ores, Meltan did not spawn. But to be fair, it's expected when it only has a 1 in 3072 chance of spawning from smelting ores. At first, I thought about going back to mine more ores, until I realized Pixelmon did have an update and actually Meltan spawns from mystery boxes now. I was about to spend good money in buying all the required materials to craft one, until a server admin basically told me mystery boxes were disabled. But then they said that smelting ores should still spawn Meltan, so that's all I needed to hear to start mining again. And once I had a full inventory worth of ores, I started smelting it all in hopes this was enough. I eagerly collected all of the smelted ores thinking it would obviously spawn, but I got super shocked when I realized I had collected everything and Meltan still did not spawn. I decided to try one last time, and even though I smelted so many sacks of ores, I still did not get Meltan to spawn. Just to put it into perspective, I smelted so many ores that I actually became number 2 on the smelting leaderboards. At this point, I just gave up on getting Meltan, so I looked elsewhere for potential fire-type fusions. When I opened up the GTS, I saw an Entei for sale for $150,000, which is just way too expensive for an Entei. But I knew as long as I did buy one, I could fuse it with my Moltres to get Eruptress. So I grinded at the boss tower, defeating boss type Pokemon to collect their drops, then selling it at the Pokemart. I basically did this over and over again until I had enough money to buy Entei. And just to make this fair, even though I bought a legendary Pokemon, I'm not going to count it towards our goal of catching 3 fire-type legendaries, as I'm just going to use it to fuse anyways. So now it was time to place both Moltres and Entei into the fusion machine, and out came Eruptress. It just looked so incredible, and it was super big too. Getting Eruptress meant that we can now tick off one goal from our list. To finish this day off, I took some leftover rare candies we had and used them to level up our entire team to almost level 100. Sadly, Darmanitan was missing out on 5 levels. Also, as I was just minding my own business, I saw a shiny Drifloon fly by in the corner of my eye. Thankfully, I was able to catch up and eventually caught another shiny. It doesn't count as it's not a fire type, but hey, a shiny is a shiny. I continue my adventure by building a battle arena right next to my house. I figured that fighting random people on the server will allow me to see whether or not my team is strong or not. I also made sure Darmanitan leveled up to level 100 so that I had a full team of level 100 Pokemon. Now that I was ready, I asked in chat to see who would like to have a Pokemon battle, and eventually I found a challenger. For the first battle ever with this team, I actually did pretty well. I managed to take out half of their team before being destroyed by Garchomp. This battle was super helpful in understanding my team. I knew that there were still more fire types I could catch to make my fire type team even stronger, such as this Delphox that took me nearly an entire day to catch. I also fished at this lava pool for more fire types, but after a couple of minutes, I was only encountering Torkoal and Magcargo. That's when I decided to warp into the Ultra Space dimension, thanks to a kind player by the name of Telgor. Here I explored the Ultra Space biomes in search of special fire-type Pokemon, but what I stumbled upon shocked me, as I came across a Pheromosa. This is an Ultra Beast that has a super rare chance at spawning. Even though I caught it, I don't plan on using it, since it's a bug type. But I did come across this Magmortar, which I actually caught, but spoiler alert, I never used it. My luck, however, was at an all-time high, as I came across yet another Pheromosa. Since I already caught one, I allowed another player to have it. Oh, would you look at that. This is the third Pheromosa I've seen so far. I just gave it to some random player and walked off. While I was exploring the Ultra Space, I happened to come across yet another shiny. This shiny Swalot wasn't a fire type, so sadly it doesn't count. But regardless, I'm happy I found a shiny anyways. After days of hunting, I finally came across what I've been looking for all this time. It was this future Paradox version of Charizard called Iron Wings. After using up all of my Ultra Balls, I was finally able to catch Iron Wings. I quickly swapped out Centiskorch for Iron Wings and spent the rest of the day training it up to level 100. Surprisingly, once it reached level 100, it was able to learn a custom move called Plasma Blaze. I didn't even know these Paradox Pokemon had custom moves, but I guess you learn something new every day. Once I had my team prepared, I went back to challenge some gym leaders and saw that the third gym leader was finally here. It was no match for my fire-type Pokemon though, as I was able to get the third gym badge without too much trouble. But when I tried to battle the fourth gym leader, I wasn't allowed to bring along my fusion Eruptress. This meant I had to substitute it for this battle, and yeah, it did not go well. The ground type team was just way too strong against my fire type Pokemon. I decided to take my Pokemon elsewhere and challenge the Sired NPC at spawn. I wasn't doing too bad, until he sent out Landorus, which just so happens to be a legendary ground type Pokemon. So the battle went as expected. I knew I had to improve my team, and I could do that by EV training my Pokemon. Since I already used them a lot, I had to feed them specific berries that would decrease EV points of things like defense or HP, which I didn't really care about, so that I could focus on improving the more important stats like speed and attack. This took me a while, but eventually I had my whole team fully EV trained to perfection. But since gym leaders have cooldowns, I'll have to wait till I can do my rematch again later and actually focus on my main goals, such as catching 2 more fire type shinies and catching 2 more fire type legendaries. Luckily, I was able to fly to a desert biome, and within a couple of minutes, I had already found a shiny Cacnea. Still not a fire type, but it was still pretty cool. It didn't take me too long and I already found another shiny, and luckily this was a shiny Numel, which counts towards my goal as it's a fire type Pokemon. I camped around the desert for a very long time until I finally came across a Groudon. Surprisingly, I caught it with a Pokeball. Now I understand that Groudon is not a fire type, but once I get the red orb and equip it on Groudon, he will be able to transform into his primal form, which is both a ground and fire type. But for now, I focused on training up Groudon by first EV training it and then leveling it up to level 100. Although I still needed to get a red orb to officially secure myself a fire type legendary, I would still need to catch a third one to actually complete my goal. So when I flew around and spotted this massive platform in the middle of a savanna biome, I decided to use it as Victini could spawn here. Platforms are extremely useful as it spawns all the Pokemon on this flat surface, making it very easy to see the wild Pokemon. But let's say you want to clear the platform. All you'd have to do is teleport away, wait a few seconds, and then warp back. All the Pokemon will despawn when you do this, allowing more Pokemon to spawn, increasing your chances of finding shinies or even legendaries. I did this for a while and managed to find myself a shiny Flittle. And by the time we reached day 85, I finally spotted our last fire type shiny. It was this beautiful blue shiny Ponyta. Catching this meant we had finally caught 3 fire type shiny Pokemon. Anyways, while I was still on the platform, I found this really cool Honedge. But I also found a lot of people here. I'm not sure why they decided to teleport to me, but I guess I had more people to practice battling with. I had a Pokemon battle against Clouds that I ended up losing, but I was able to bring it back against Ilham and win, which was crazy considering that he had both a Primal Groudon and a Primal Kyogre on his team. Now I did spend a while in the Nether building this platform in hopes for Heatran to spawn, but I'll be honest, I kind of just bought a Megastone crate using the leftover vote points I had and sort of just forgot about it. Unfortunately, I got a Megastone for Blastoise, which really sucked. But hey, an event was about to take place. An admin would hide a gold statue of Vulpix somewhere around spawn, and the first person to find it wins a special prize. There were 2 rounds and I really tried to win one of them, but sadly I lost both rounds. Now I know I'm running out of time, but I still used up an entire day to hang out with some awesome people, which allowed me to walk through their entire town and just look at their amazing houses. I did try to give this guy the Blastoise Megastone, but someone else yoinked it. But after a while in return, they gave me a Charizardite Y. I was extremely happy until I realized I can't even Mega Evolve my Charizard until I get myself a Mega Band from defeating a Mega Boss. Well, whatever. I still needed to catch another fire type legendary, and I did so by finding a Badlands biome, then digging down till I found a natural lava source. I met basically all the requirements for a Heatran to spawn, and to pass the time I started fishing here hoping to find a Mega Shards to craft a red orb. It took a long time, but finally Heatran spawned while I was fishing, the third and final fire type legendary I needed for this challenge. But it's not over yet. I still needed to fish up 10 Omega Shards so that I could make a red orb for Groudon. I moved to a desert biome to fish in lava because apparently I can only fish it up in specific biomes. I didn't have a lot of time left, but I fished as much as I could, getting Omega Shards every now and then. Slowly but surely, I was feeling more confident with every shard I fished up. I also had some kind of glitch where I would fish up Pokemon, but I wasn't able to battle them, which actually made fishing go by much faster. Eventually this glitch was fixed and I actually saw some sparkles in the lava which came from a shiny Magmar that I was able to catch. Eventually I fished up the last shard and was able to create the red orb. I quickly put it on Groudon and just to make sure, I battled some random Pokemon and yeah, there it was. Primal Groudon. The last and final fire type legendary I needed for this challenge. Now that I had basically achieved all of my goals and also found the shiny Raticate around my house, I decided to have one last Pokemon battle against the Sired NPC. I started the battle by sending out Heatran, which quickly got one-shotted by a high jump kick. Charizard was able to clutch up though and defeat both Cinderace and Ludicolo before going down to his Kartana. I sent out Eruptress to deal with Kartana. Then out came Landorus. Sadly, Eruptress fainted, so I sent out my Primal Groudon to hopefully take it out, and I was so close to doing so. Sadly, Landorus did not hold back and destroyed my entire team. If only Groudon had taken it out, I could have won. Well, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more 100-day videos, and I'll see you later. Bye. Today, I'm gonna spend 100 days in Pixelmon, but I can only use Paradox Pokemon. I'm also gonna be playing on the Smash MC server, where they have custom Paradox Pokemon.
My goals for the next 100 days is to catch at least 15 Paradox Pokemon, to catch a shiny Paradox Pokemon, and at least one legendary Paradox Pokemon. Can I complete all of these goals and become the ultimate Paradox Pokemon trainer? Watch the rest of the video to find out. Also, if we hit 20,000 subscribers, I'll spend 100 days in Pixelmon as Ash Ketchum. Without further ado, let's start our adventure. I decided to choose Oshawott as my starter, but that won't matter as I'm not allowed to use him anyways, since I'm only allowed to use Paradox Pokemon. That means I'd have to find a way to catch one without using Oshawott at all. So I warped into the wild and checked my battle pass and saw that if I reached level 8, I'd be able to get a special item that would allow me to redeem a Paradox Pokemon of my choice. So there was only one thing left to do, and that is grinding up levels by mining lots of stone and dirt. But hey, we just started our adventure. I'd like to do other things than just mining, such as exploring this huge house, where I had a lot of fun riding the bike indoors and even managed to find lots of items in these barrels. Finally, once I left the house, I ended up cycling by this shiny earthworm, and I was able to catch it with a great ball, which gave me lots of levels. I also explored some desert ruins, and this one in particular merged with a dungeon, so I ended up getting even more loot. Eventually, on the 5th day, after mining and smelting tons of ores off camera, I finally ended up getting level 8 on the battle pass. I was awarded a specific Pokemon paper, which allowed me to claim any non-legendary Pokemon. In this case, I decided to choose Slitherwing. But now my inventory was getting a bit too cramped, so I decided to gather up lots of materials and start building my house. It took a while, but eventually I finished it. Might not be the best house ever, but it's good enough. Since I'm stuck with Slitherwing for now, I used up the rare candies I got from the battle pass till Slitherwing was level 100. With the help of a random player, I was able to teleport into the Ultra Space dimension, which is where server exclusive Paradox Pokemon have a chance at spawning. So I explored for a while, eventually ending up in the Ultra Deep Sea biome, where I would encounter my first wild Paradox Pokemon, Storm Leviathan. I instantly threw my Ultra Balls at it, and luckily I was able to catch it without any problems. This was one of the most majestic looking Paradox Pokemon I've ever seen. But wait, my luck does not end there, as I find myself face to face with a Death Fear, a Paradox Pokemon based off of Dragapult. I tried my best, throwing as many Ultra Balls as I had in my inventory, but sadly, when it defeated my team, I was sent back to the overworld in what appears to be some random guy's base. I literally have no idea as to why I ended up here, but I again used the help of another player to go back into the Ultra Space dimension, and this time I explored far and wide, until I found yet another Death Fear. I threw Ultra Balls outside of battle so that it wouldn't be able to kill my team, and eventually I was able to catch it. But yeah, apparently I found another Death Fear a day later, so I just ended up catching that one, and now I just had 2 Death Fears. At least I found another Paradox Pokemon that isn't Death Fear. Now I tried my best catching Slashing Shell, but it took every last Ultra Ball in my inventory until I was just left with nothing. Feeling frustrated, I warped back home. But then I decided to warp to the gym leaders and have a go trying to get the first gym badge. Sadly, I wasn't allowed to bring the custom Paradox Pokemon, so when I sent out Slitherwing all alone, I got destroyed. If I wanted to defeat the gym leaders, I'd need to expand my team, so I warped into the end in order to hunt down some more Paradox Pokemon. It didn't take too long until an Iron Tread spawned. Now I need to be careful when catching it, because if my Pokeball were to fall in the void with Iron Treads in it, it will disappear. So I tried pushing it onto the platform, even expanding it to make sure it doesn't fall. But Iron Treads just had other plans. There was a sad attempt at saving its life, but it was just too late. To prevent this happening again, I continued to expand the platform until I saw that Iron Tread spawned again. I quickly made my way down and caught Iron Treads. As I walked around the End Islands, I came across Iron Hands. I used the rare candies I had to lure it onto a wider platform, and then caught it with the first Ultra Ball I threw. I also spotted an Iron Moth, but before I could react, it just decided to fly away. After walking around a while, I found a wild sandy shocks. I tried luring it with rare candies, but it was just not interested. Eventually, it decided not to be a part of this world anymore. Well, that's okay. I flew around with my Storm Leviathan and spotted iron thorns on the outer end islands. Luckily this went well, and I was able to catch another Paradox Pokemon. Now that I've expanded my team a bit, I went ahead and challenged the first gym leader. Sadly, Death Fear and Storm Leviathan had to sit out as they were banned. Anyways, the gym battle wasn't that difficult. Iron Treads was able to defeat all 6 Pokemon by itself, and now I had 1 gym badge. Seeing how easy the first gym was, I challenged the second gym soon after. It actually was a bit more challenging, making me use more than 1 Pokemon, but in the end, I got my second gym badge. I was pretty happy with the team I had, so why not get them all to level 100? I stayed at the level grinder for a while, but really wasn't making any progress. That's when I had the bright idea to buy lots of rare candies from the GTS, speeding up the leveling process. Also, I thought it was cool that the custom Paradox Pokemon learn custom moves once they reach level 100. The moves weren't super powerful, but still made each Pokemon feel more special and unique. I took my new and improved team and started practicing Pokemon battles with them by destroying all the NPC trainers around spawn. And yes, some of them even had legendary Pokemon, yet I still defeated them with relative ease. Feeling very accomplished today, I went to bed the same night, and when I woke up the next day, Pixelmon had updated to version 9.1.6, adding 3D models for Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. I knew I wanted to hunt them down now, so I warped into the end dimension and started walking around, sadly coming across an Iron Jugulus that was flying over the void, making it impossible to catch. I waited around a bit, eventually finding a Fluttermane that I was able to catch, and even spotted a Great Tusk which I added to my collection of Paradox Pokemon. So far, I had 8 in total and no signs of stopping. I got myself a diamond pickaxe and enchanted it with efficiency 3 so that I could mine tons of endstone and expand the platform, allowing more Pokemon to spawn on it. That's when I spotted a Screamtail down below. I tried my best throwing Pokeballs at it, but the server was experiencing some bad lag. And also, this guy was trying to mine the blocks under Screamtail so that it would fall into the void. The odds were stacked against me, but I persisted. Eventually, the lag got to the server and it had to restart. And yes, when I joined back, Screamtail was nowhere to be seen. But Lady Luck decided to bless me on this day as I came across the legendary Paradox Pokemon Walking Wake in all its glory. I used my only Park Ball that I got as a reward from having hours of playtime, and now Walking Wake was mine. I had to use all of my leftover rare candies to get it up a few levels before warping to the level grinder and training it up till it reached level 100. Okay, Walking Wake wasn't the only legendary I got. I forgot to press record, and as you can see in chat, I opened an uncommon lucky block which upgraded to a rare lucky block, and yeah, I got a Jirachi now too. I can't use it, but it's still very rare for this to happen in the first place. Anyways, moving on, I warped back to the gym leaders and challenged the third one which specialized in ground types. For some reason, I was allowed to bring along the custom Paradox Pokemon, and needless to say, it only took 1 Death Fear to completely annihilate this gym, awarding myself the 3rd gym badge. Now I tried to challenge the 4th gym leader, but their water type Pokemon were just too strong against my own team, so I ended up losing. I knew if I wanted to have a chance at it again, I need to get stronger Paradox Pokemon. So with the help of a kind player, I warped back into the Ultra Space dimension, where I was spotted by another player who dropped me a Master Ball and wished me luck, but also mentioned that there was a Paradox Deoxys known as Cosmic Virus that existed on the server. I was very interested and decided before the 100 days was over, I wanted to catch this special Paradox Pokemon. But of course my luck works in mysterious ways, as I find a Buzzwole instead. I caught it with a level ball, but sadly could not use it as it is an Ultra Beast. I explored far and wide in the Ultra Space dimension, even beating a raid, until I finally found another custom Paradox Pokemon. This one was called Iron Wings and is a future form of Charizard. It took a lot of level balls since I ran out of Ultra Balls, but I was able to catch it. I thought I'd check up on the end and see if there were any Pokemon here. Well, it didn't take too long, and suddenly there were tons of Paradox Pokemon around me. a roaring moon trying to fly away, an iron jugulus already in the air, and suddenly a scream tail isolated on a platform. I chose to go after roaring moon since it rarely spawns compared to the other two, and let me just tell you, it did not want to get caught. I literally had to buy a stack of ultra balls just because I used the rest on it already, and not to mention that it also wiped out my entire team so I could only throw Pokeballs at it. Try not to let it fly away too far. At long last, I was able to catch Roaring Moon, and when I checked back at the platform, the other two Paradox Pokemon weren't here anymore. Or so I thought, until I saw an Iron Jugulus spawn soon after, and started chasing it down with my Storm Leviathan. One thing led to another, and I soon fell to my death. I was able to warp back and saw Sandy Shocks on the platform, alongside another Slitherwing. Thankfully, this one wasn't too much of a hassle, and now I finally had 12 Paradox Pokemon in total. I spotted a specific shiny paper on GTS, a special item that allows you to redeem any Pokemon and it will be a shiny. I knew this is what I needed to get a shiny Paradox Pokemon, so I warped into the boss tower, beating up lots of boss Pokemon and taking their drops to sell them to the Pokemart for money, until I was able to buy the specific shiny paper. I tried to redeem Iron Leaves, but sadly it counted as a legendary Pokemon, so instead I chose to redeem a shiny Iron Moth since the last one I saw flew away from me. When I was back home, I saw a wormhole appear right on top of my house. So when I go back into the Ultra Space Dimension, here I found these huge pipe structures that had beast ball loot and even chests with rare items. So I explored the sewers finding more rare items, to the point where I was selling most of it and got lots of money in return, of course keeping the plates in case of Arceus. I happened to stumble upon yet another Storm Leviathan in the Ultra Space, which I easily caught with an Ultra Ball. Now I was running around in hopes of finding more Paradox Pokemon, but instead I found a shiny Trapinch which looked really cool. But as I was exploring, I would collect these beast ball loots every now and then, and occasionally I'd have a full inventory and sell a loot back at the Pokemart for more money. I realized I earned enough to buy a specific Pokemon paper off the GTS once again, and I used it to claim a custom Paradox Pokemon, but sadly it did not work. Eventually I decided to redeem Iron Jugulus because it just kept on flying away from me whenever I tried to catch it. Now I only needed to catch one more Paradox Pokemon to finish all of my goals, so I knew I had a lot of time to kill, and tried to re-challenge the 4th gym leader, but apparently he wasn't here. Actually, all the gym leaders disappeared. I wasn't sure on what to do instead, so I warped to the battle tower and decided to challenge the trainers there. Surprisingly, I managed to scrape by the first battle on half health on my last Pokemon, even took down a Kyurem and won my second battle, until I was defeated by the 3rd trainer who had both a Xurkitree and a Tornadus on his team. I knew I wanted to hunt down Cosmic Virus as my last Paradox Pokemon, but before I did that, I wanted to explore the overworld a bit and even discovered a Team Galactic base. Here I found the leader of Team Galactic, Cyrus, who was guarding the Arc Chalice. I decided to battle him and realized his Pokemon were all level 120. Even so, I was still able to defeat half of his team until he sent out Dialga, which destroyed my entire team. I finally thought it was time to go back into the Ultra Space Dimension and was warped here by some nice people. Although I walked around for a while, this crazy guy somehow found me and wanted to take a screenie. Once I took one with him, I whipped out my bike and cycled as fast as I could, trying to get away from the stalker. Thankfully, I lost him, but now it was time to find Cosmic Virus. I flew around with Storm Leviathan and explored on foot, but yet still did not find anything. I knew Cosmic Virus would take a while to find, so just to make sure I don't truly fail this challenge, I set out to catch yet another unique Paradox Pokemon, just in case Cosmic Virus doesn't spawn in time. Most of the Pokemon I saw, however, were all Paradox Pokemon I've already caught before, until I found this Iron Bundle. I bought a Super Rod and thought it would be a great idea to rod it onto the main island, so that it wouldn't walk off. But I may or may not have overestimated how strong the rod was, and accidentally dropped Iron Bundle into the void. Feeling defeated, I went back into Ultra Space and just started running around aimlessly, making sure to pick up Beast Ball loot on the way until yet another Death Fear spawned. Catching this meant I had 3 Death Fears already. Finally, I found a Slashing Shell, a custom past Paradox form of Blastoise. While I was trying to catch it, another one spawned right next to me, so I kind of just kept on throwing Ultra Balls at both of them, hoping one of them would be caught. Somehow the other disappeared, so I focused and caught the other slashing shell, meaning I had caught 15 Paradox Pokemon in total now. But wait, the adventure was not over yet. I still wanted to find Cosmic Virus, and when I went home to store my rare items, I realized I had 11 type plates already. So I went back into the Ultra Space, collecting loot within the sewers, making sure I collect all there is to find, and selling spare items at the Pokemart. Doing this earned me enough money to buy 2 Park Balls from the GTS. For the next few days, I got really unlucky. I did not find Cosmic Virus anywhere, but that didn't stop me from collecting loot on my travels. In the end, I managed to score all the type plates needed to summon Arceus. Now it was time to place all the plates into the Arc Chalice and receive the Azure Flute. I took the flute and played it by the Time-Space Altar at spawn, but sadly it did not react. There must have been some kind of glitch with this altar, so I knew I needed to find one elsewhere. So I kid you not, I was flying to the Galactic base because they had an Arc Chalice, so I just assumed they might have one nearby, until I flew over a Time-Space Altar in the middle of the desert. The fact that I would even find this randomly in just a couple of minutes was incredible, but now it was time to finally summon Arceus. I right-clicked the shrine a lot until it finally took my Azure Flute, and out came the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. I caught it with the Park Ball I bought earlier, and now I just had Arceus in my PC box that I can't really use. As soon as it became day 91, I knew I had to be serious and track down Cosmic Virus. But I also ended up buying Iron Blaster, a future form of Blastoise, just because it looked super cool. Anyways, there was no time to waste. I went back to the Ultra Space and flew around for a while, until I flew past this weird structure on the ground. I took a closer look and saw the very obvious misplaced block in the middle. So I broke it, and that ended up revealing a chest which contained a set of coordinates, surrounded by blocks of obsidian. I wasn't sure what this was telling me, but after I found a flint and steel hidden behind the middle pillar, I knew that I needed to travel to these coordinates in the nether. So I used the obsidian in the chest to make myself a nether portal. And now that I was in the nether, I just took out the coordinates and followed them. These coordinates eventually led me to a bastion. I was kind of confused, so I read the coordinates again and realized I was following the map on the top right, which was in XZY, when coordinates in Minecraft usually are in XYZ. However, on the off chance that these coordinates were written in the top right map in mind, I decided to just go up and check to see in case there was really something here. This involved me using a glitch to get on top of the nether roof and building up on these exact coordinates. As I was building up, I saw a shadow in the sky. That's when I realized I'm in the right place and eventually found a chest up here. Opening up the chest revealed a new set of coordinates and an Ultra Ruin key. I knew I had to travel into the Ultra Space dimension to find whatever this key led to. So I flew over 10,000 blocks with Storm Leviathan until I finally found some sort of shrine on these exact coordinates. Once I right-clicked the shrine, a Cosmic Virus appeared in front of me and started flying away in hopes to escape. Luckily, I backed it into a corner and was able to catch it with a Park Ball. And now, I finally had Cosmic Virus. I took all the rare candies I had and leveled it up to level 100, unlocking the move Venomous Guillotine. I quickly took it out for a test battle until it was immediately defeated by a level 80 Dragonite. As cool as it looks, it really wasn't as strong as I'd imagined. But hey, at the very least, I could fly on its back, and that was pretty awesome. Just before we finished things off, I bought both a Brute Bonnet and a shiny Iron Valiant. Well, that's everything I did in 100 days of using nothing but Paradox Pokemon. If you want to watch more of these videos, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye! Everybody knows a Pokemon trainer from Palatown, Ash Ketchum. Well, in this video, I'm gonna spend 100 days in Pixelmon as Ash Ketchum, with the goal to be the very best like no one ever was. And in order to live out as Ash Ketchum for the next 100 days, I have some challenges I need to complete. First, I want to catch 25 of Ash's Pokemon that he caught in the anime. Next, I'd like to get a strong team to level 100, and finally, on day 50, I'll have my battle against Champion Leon, and on day 100, I'll battle against the Sired NPC, which is the strongest NPC trainer on the entire server. It has defeated me in previous 100-day videos before, but this time I was ready to take him down. Can I complete all of my goals and become a true Pokemon master? Watch the rest of the video to find out. Also, huge shout out to both Arpus and Wilson for the video idea. And without further ado, here's 100 days as Ash Ketchum. As we start my journey, it was time to choose my starter Pokemon. Sadly, Pikachu was not an option, so the closest Pokemon I could get was Pichu. It was also level 32, which is quite strong for a starter Pokemon. As you can see, my outfit does not suit the occasion, so give me one moment to change. And there we go. I am ready to go on a Pokemon adventure now. I warped into the wild where I found myself in the middle of a desert. I wandered around for a while and came across a Galarian Farfetch'd. This is actually a Pokemon Ash used in the anime, so that means I'm allowed to catch it and use it myself. After adding Farfetch'd to my team, I traveled back to Spawn and collected these treasure chests around Spawn. I wasn't trying to get all of them just yet, but getting a few of them gives me enough items to have a great head start with my challenge. I later redeemed some random Pokemon and luckily got a Fletchinder, which is also used by Ash in the anime. I was super happy to have yet another of Ash's Pokemon on my team. Unfortunately, the Lucky Blocks did not give me any usable Pokemon, including the uncommon Lucky Block which spawned in a shiny Doduo. Now I visited this berry salesman, and luckily he sold berries that would increase my Pichu's happiness. So all I had to do was overfeed Pichu for a couple of minutes, and finally I had my Pikachu. I continued exploring in the wild, looking to fill up the remaining spots in my team before facing the first gym leader. As I passed through this swamp biome, I came across a wild Froakie, which I happily added to my team. For the next 2 days, I caught both a Starly by the mountains and a Palpitoad in another swamp biome, and now that I had a full team of 6, I made my way to the first gym leader, who actually only uses 3 Pokemon. Anyways, the battle started with my Pikachu against his Pawniard. I kept on spamming Thundershock until Pawniard fainted. He then sent out Sneasel, which defeated Pikachu to no one's surprise. I decided to use my Galarian Farfetch'd, and with a move like Brick Break, I was able to one-shot Sneasel. Out came his Houndour that fire blasted my Farfetch'd, so I sent out Palpitoad to take out Houndour with Bubble Beam and got my first gym badge. Now before continuing my adventure, I knew I needed a base to store all my items in, so I searched for a while until I came across this nice spot of land on top of a mountain. I started clearing the land until a subscriber saw me in-game and handed me a Master Ball. I don't know what I'd even use this on, since Ash never catches a legendary Pokemon in the anime, but what he does catch in the anime is Charmander, which was roaming around the mountains. Anyways, I continued working on my house until I was able to finish it on day 11. It wasn't anything fancy, but at least we had a place to store items in. Now I tried to battle the second gym leader, but for some reason it was glitched. So I fought the first gym leader again, and even though I've got the first gym badge, it seems that the second gym leader was just bugged. So with the spare time I had, I walked around battling wild Pokemon, getting Froakie to evolve into Frogadier, and Starly evolving into Staravia. I also wanted to evolve my Galarian Farfetch'd, but it's a bit different, as instead of leveling it up, I'm supposed to land 3 critical hits in a single battle for it to evolve. Of course, I had a plan. I bought myself a Landsap Berry, and bought Obsidian so that I could travel into the Nether. It took a bit of time, but eventually I defeated a fire-type Pokemon that dropped Blaze Rods. I used this Blaze Rod to craft myself a brewing stand, which I used to brew alongside a Landsap Berry to get some dire hits. Taking these items into battle increases the chance of a critical hit to land. Of course, now I just had to land 3 critical hits in a single battle. So I battled the trainers around spawn, sometimes only landing 2 critical hits before winning the battle. Oh yeah, I also found a Master Ball from a treasure chest I just happened to find around spawn, so I put away the spare one I got from the kind subscriber before. That way you guys can't say I'm doing this challenge unfairly. Anyways, back to spawn, I fought against Santa Claus, And out of all the battles, this was the one where I landed 3 critical hits in one battle. The only battle where my Farfetch'd happened to faint. Thankfully, all I had to do was heal it and send it out, and it already began evolving by itself. And finally, I had Sir Fetched on my team. Since the gym was still not working, I wandered around in the wild for a bit, catching myself a Phanpy. I was also battled by this strong trainer who had level 100 Pokemon. Yeah, I just ended up losing. I mean, what do you want me to do? My highest level Pokemon is 40. Anyways, I ended up replacing Staravia for my team with Charmander, hoping this would make my team slightly stronger. I also got it to evolve the next day into a Charmeleon. Once I ended up in the snow biome, I knew I could train my Charmeleon here, but also catch a Snorunt just like Ash did. Charmeleon wasted no time destroying the Ice-type Pokemon here, even getting my Fletchinder to evolve into Talonflame from the EXP share. I ended up catching both a Pidove and a Corphish, until finally it was time for Charmeleon to evolve into Charizard. I used my Charizard to fly around the server, allowing me to easily find some of Ash's Pokemon, such as his Krabby on this remote island, as well as his Chimchar, his Gligar, and finally his Heracross, bringing the total to 15 of Ash's Pokemon caught. I was very excited about having Gligar, so I added it onto my team. I really wanted to evolve Gligar, and knew it needed a held item, but it was a bit too expensive. So I went into the boss tower at spawn to defeat boss Pokemon so that I can collect their loot and sell it back at the Pokemart for money. Eventually, I was able to buy a Razor Claw for Gligar, and for those of you that know my mistake, it takes me a while to figure out. But now that I supposedly had the right item on Gligar, I had to wait until nighttime till I could evolve it, but I was confused when it wasn't evolving. Checking its wiki information, I wonder why it didn't work. Since I was too blind to see my mistake, I temporarily substituted Gligar for Phanpy, and finally took the time to find all treasure chests around spawn, which took me a while to do so. In the end, I got some extra money as well as a fusion shard. I used the EXP candies I got to evolve my Phanpy into Donphan, as well as my Frogadier into Greninja. I then headed out again to find some more of Ash's Pokemon. I was able to catch a Tailo and even a wild Pidgeotto before warping to the Safari. The only Pokemon I found there that Ash owned was a Roggenrola. My efforts got me to 18 of Ash's Pokemon, not far from my goal of 25 now. So to celebrate, I decided to go on a little bit of a hunt for the mythical Pokemon Meltan. So I prepared a diamond pickaxe and enchanted it with efficiency 3. Then I started mining tons of cobblestone and coal so that I could make tons of furnaces. All that was left to do is go into the caves and mine as much ores as I can find. This took me a while to do, but I was able to mine stacks of ores and soon smelted all of them. But I was very disappointed when I collected all the ores and Meltan did not spawn. However, it was kind of expected, as it has a 1 in 3072 chance to spawn, making it a very rare Pokemon. The only thing I could do now is just try again by mining more ores. But I was kind of getting tired, so I slept for the night. I woke up the next day with a rare lucky block in hand thanks to the daily reward bonus. This lucky block will spawn any legendary Pokemon, so I excitedly opened it up only to be met with a Groudon, a very cool legendary that I sadly cannot use in this challenge. Fast forward the next day and I've already smelted more of the ores I've mined. I collected them all in high hopes, but sadly yet again I did not get Meltan. So I went back into the caves, mined even more ores, and went back to smelt them all, only to be met with nothing. I was annoyed, and at this point, most people would give up, but not me. I was determined to get Meltan. I started off by completely remaking my setup, by adding way too many furnaces. I knew I wanted Meltan, and nothing was gonna stop me. I went on a very long mining adventure, getting over 1,000 ores in total, and now it was time to smelt all of it. Once it was done smelting, I quickly collected every single ingot, and just felt defeated once I realized Meltan did not spawn. I didn't want to give up just yet, but I was already feeling super bored from mining a lot, so I flew around with Charizard and luckily I was able to spot a shiny Galarian Zigzagoon. I was also able to track down Ash's first Pokemon he ever caught, which is Caterpie. before trying to evolve Gligar again and realizing I had accidentally placed the Razor Claw instead of the Razor Fang on Gligar. Finally, I was able to evolve my Gligar into Gliscor. Since my battle with Leon was in a day, I devoted this time to training up my Pokemon until day 50 finally arrived, and I was face to face against Champion Leon. I made sure to adjust the battle AI to the max, so this battle won't be easy. Once the battle started, Leon Dynamaxed his Charizard against my own Charizard. Sadly, it stood no chance and was quickly taken out. Pikachu came in and was barely able to beat his Charizard. His Haxorus proved to be a problem as it defeated my Pikachu, Greninja, and even my Gliscor, until finally Talonflame took it out. Talonflame put in the work and was able to even out the playing field. Once it was taken out though, I only had Sirfetch'd left, and with 26 HP remaining, I was able to take out his Aegislash and win the battle. A super close battle I was happy to win, but don't stop watching now, as on day 100, I will battle against the strongest NPC trainer. Now that we're back on the server, I flew around for a good minute until I found a wild Sewaddle. But instead of continuing my adventure, I wanted to go back and try to catch Meltan again. So off I went on yet another big mining trip, finding a wild Rockruff on the way, which just so happens to be the 20th Pokemon of Ash Ketchum that I caught. Anyways, I ended up smelting all of the ores that I found, and I'm so glad I tried hunting Meltan again, as this time it finally spawned. At this point, I was not going to let it run away and use my Master Ball on it. I finally had Meltan, but I knew this wasn't enough. I wanted to evolve it into Melmetal, and well, the old method was smelting 400 pieces of ore while it was in your party, which is exactly what I did, and I was surprised to see it not evolving. One Google search later, I found out I was supposed to feed the iron to Meltan, so I made blocks of iron and gave it a good feast until I was able to evolve it into Melmetal. The Meltan quest was finally over, and I just felt overjoyed. So I decided to take it easy and flew around with Charizard for a while. Eventually, I found a desert biome with a Gibble, and yes, sadly Ash had a Gibble that never evolved, so I guess even though I caught a Gibble, I can't evolve it into Garchomp. I was also able to find and catch a Tauros, which means now I only need one more of Ash's Pokemon until all that's left to do is get my team to level 100 and defeat the strongest NPC trainer. I knew if I wanted to have a chance, I need to resort to desperate measures though. I took my Super Rod and flew around in search of a swamp biome because I wanted to fish for Ash Greninja, the rarest Pokemon you can fish up in all of Pixelmon. And would you look at that, the first Pokemon I fished up was a Greninja. Sadly did not have the ability Battle Bond, but still that was kind of lucky. Anyways, I spent the next 10 days only fishing for an Ash Greninja, occasionally catching Frogadiers in case I get one with the hidden ability Protein. In the process of fishing up lots of Pokemon, I came across a Muck which just so happens to be another one of Ash's Pokemon. Catching this meant we have finally completed a goal and we're one step closer to becoming a Pokemon Master. Anyways, once the 10 days were over, I checked my PC box to see the huge amount of Frogadiers we caught. Sadly, I didn't find the Ash Greninja I was looking for, but luckily one of the Frogadiers I was able to catch had the ability Protein. I swapped it out with the other Greninja I had on my team and got it to evolve into Greninja. Being happy with my team so far, I walked into the training area and just started grinding up levels as much as I could until finally all of my Pokemon were level 100. All that was left now was to fight the Sired NPC on day 100. But when I went back home, I saw a weird wormhole in the sky. Feeling curious, I entered the Ultra Space Dimension. There wasn't much to do here other than run around and explore. I also found a wild shiny Torkoal, which actually happens to be one of Ash's Pokemon too. Once I felt like I did all that I could in the Ultra Space, I decided to just warp back home. I knew that I needed to gain some battle experience if this was going to be my team against the Sired NPC, so I traveled to the battle tower and started fighting against strong trainers. The first battle was pretty scary, having to go against a Celesteela and a Tornadus, but luckily by the skin of my teeth, Pikachu clutched up and took out Celesteela at the end, winning me the battle. The second battle went worse, and I got destroyed by Namundus, which was quite anticlimactic compared to the first battle I had. But now, since I had a lot of time to kill until the final battle, I decided to hunt for some legendaries just for fun. I started off by buying a Pokeball bundle from the Vote shop, which included a GS ball. This allowed me to spawn in and catch the mythical Pokemon Celebi. I also had this Orb of Static Souls, so I spent the next few days defeating countless wild Pokemon until the orb was fully charged. This allowed me to summon Zapdos from the shrine at spawn. I didn't waste any time and ended up using my Master Ball. After catching Zapdos, I checked the GTS and actually saw a Naganadel on sale for $100,000. This is an Ultra Beast that Ash does use in the show, so I decided to grind up money in the boss tower, and then once I had enough money, I bought Naganadel and realized it also had a special texture. I knew this beast of a Pokemon just had to be on my team. Sorry Gliscor, you will be missed. Now in order to make all my Pokemon just a bit more powerful, I went ahead and EV trained them up for a while. And now that I've basically maxed out my team's stats, it was time to have one last adventure before the final battle on day 100. I had this uncommon scroll with a few quests on it and decided to just complete it for fun. However, I forgot to actually record the in-game screen. So I am back with a rare scroll this time. All I had to do was defeat 100 Pokemon, defeat 39 grass types, level up my Pokemon 75 times, and finally catch 40 fairy type Pokemon. This actually took the most time out of the other quests. I'd spend the day mainly catching Snubbles, and then around nighttime I would warp into the end and start catching Clefairies. Eventually, I caught the final fairy type Pokemon and was fully ready to claim my rewards, which turned out to be 3 fusion shards. If I wanted to get a fusion Pokemon, doing these scrolls would definitely help out a lot. Anyways, now that we're only 2 days away from the final battle, I decided to just explore the world a bit. I ended up catching a Hawlucha near my house, as well as a wild Chikorita. In total, on my journey, I was able to catch 30 of Ash's Pokemon. But now, it was time to face off against the strongest NPC on the server. My entire adventure led me here, and hopefully I win and prove myself a true Pokemon master. The battle started with my Greninja against Cinderace. Cinderace used the move U-turn and switched into Landorus that was unfortunately met with a Hydro Pump to the face. Greninja fainted, so I switched into Sirfetch'd, who was able to Meteor Assault the Lucario. Kartana scared me at first, but a flamethrower took it out with ease. With Charizard knocked out, I sent out Melmetal, who was able to damage both Umbreon and Ludicolo before being taken out. I thought Pikachu would outspeed Ludicolo, but I was very wrong. Also, somehow Ludicolo dies too from recoil. I'm not sure how, but anyways, now it was all up to Naganadel. I Toxic Stalled the Umbreon that kept on spamming Wish, and then finally Dragon Pulsed the Cinderace, winning me the battle. I have finally defeated the strongest NPC trainer on the server. I have become the Pokemon Master. And with that, our journey comes to an end. Bye!